you just, a couple seconds to do that. You have to be following the rules. If you're following the rules, there's going to be no issue here. We're going to go to get the first guest up. I think this is actually one of the trolls. Let's just go ahead and set an example here. Jack, do you support Trump?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can. Do you support Trump?
100%.
Okay, you actually may not be one of the trolls. How old are you?
19.
Okay, what year were you born in?
2006.
Okay.
What?
Why do you support Trump?
The economy mostly.
Oh, God.
I like what he's doing with OBA.
What is OBA?
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Okay, the BBB. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, typically the OBA is referred to as the BBB. All right, sounds good, man. So, all right. What's your favorite provision of the BBB?
I like no tax on tips.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
All right. I just had to ask you these clarifying questions to ensure that you're not a troll, that you're actually a Trump supporter. Seems like you're telling the truth. Are you patient?
Yeah.
All right, I want you to show us that patience because I'm going to quickly take a moment to start that live stream over on the elsewhere. Can't be too clear, or else I'll get a restriction. And while I'm doing that, I just want you to hang out with us for a minute, okay?
Okay.
All right, don't go anywhere. Here we go, everybody. Assume your places. Hello and welcome in. This is the 388th episode of the Dean Withers Show. We are so close to 400 episodes under our belt. How crazy is that? For everybody who's joining us, I really appreciate you so much for being here. We have a lot of news to go through, a lot of debates to be held. If you've never been here before, I'll tell you what we do. We talk to Trump supporters and we try to change their minds because Trump is the worst president of your life. Now, we have a lot of viewers that come back and watch these live streams pretty frequently, so for all of the returning visitors, you guys definitely know what we're about. Now, we already have the very first Trump supporter of the day loaded up into the live stream over on TikTok. Their name is Jack, and they support him because they think he's good for the economy. So, the first debate will definitely be a doozy for him. But before we hop into that, let's first go through the breaking news of the day. Trump's war in Iran is straight up spiraling out of control. Okay, the peace talks are hanging on a thread. Things don't seem to be getting more peaceful. They just seem to be escalating. In fact, according to the Washington Post, Trump is preparing for one of the largest escalations of the war yet. Let's go through it all. Yesterday, what was the breaking news headline? Trump announced that Iran had reopened the Strait of Hormuz after it was shut down for weeks, skyrocketing the price of oil, making everything cost more, especially gas. And he even added on top of that announcement that the strait is reopened by saying Iran has vowed to never shut it down again, less than 24 hours. You're not going to believe this. It's shut down again. Why? You guessed it, because of Trump. Let's go through the facts. It is true that yesterday, Iran had reopened the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I had a bunch of Trump supporters join the stream yesterday and tell me that this is because of Daddy Trump's gallant negotiating abilities, and he's just a great negotiator, the art of the deal, phenomenal leader. Well, turns out the reason why they reopened the Strait of Hormuz is because of why they closed it in the first place. Once we extended the peace talks with Iran, the ceasefire, for another 2 weeks, Israel then begun bombing Lebanon. Even after the ceasefire had got in place, Iran saw that as a violation of the ceasefire, so then they quickly shut down the Strait of Hormuz again. Now, yesterday, an official ceasefire was met between Lebanon and Israel, so then because Iran, is honoring their previous word from a week ago, they reopened the strait. Because Israel had stopped bombing Lebanon, the ceasefire was officially in effect. But then today, they actually shut it down again because after they reopened the strait yesterday, the U.S. imposed a naval blockade on Iranian seaports, effectively blocking Iran's access from the strait that they just reopened for everybody. They saw that as unfair, so then they shut it down again. And because of that, now, according to the Washington Post, Donald Trump is considering a major escalation of actually deploying troops, that they have stationed in the Middle East to overtake Iranian oil vessels to seize their oil in an attempt to put more pressure on Iran to reopen the strait. I mean, things are getting grisly. Like one day we hear one thing, the next day we hear the opposite, and things don't seem to be getting much better. So there's kind of where we stand at the war in Iran right now. It's just a total disaster. It's a mess. I know that a lot of what I said probably just went in one ear and out the other because it's honestly a lot to go through, a lot to handle at the same time. Now, maybe like second order breaking news here. According to The Atlantic, the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, is allegedly an alcoholic. He loves the alcohol so much to the extent where allegedly senior members of the FBI had to bust his door with a SWAT battering ram to wake him up, okay, because he was drunk in order to do his job. And now Kash Patel's responded to the article published by the Atlantic by calling it fake news, blasting it, calling it fake. And I mean, we've been hearing forever from the right that we need to get rid of DEI. And, God damn it, I'll give it to them. They did. They did get rid of DEI. They just replaced it with DUI. This is now the second member of the Trump administration who seemingly, because of their alleged alcoholism, has not been able to meet the work requirements provided under their title or role from, Pete Hegseth, DUI hire number 1, okay, leaking confidential security plans to reporters from the Atlantic by accidentally adding them to Signal group chats, to now Kash Patel, DUI hire number 2, not being able to wake up in the morning because he's drunk, and now he has to have senior members of the FBI bust his door down with a FBI battering ram. Once again, allegedly. I don't want to get caught up in that lawsuit myself. Now, let's go ahead and hop into those debates. What a mess. I mean, truly, it just seems to be getting messier by the day. Jack, let's go back to your argument. You told us that you support Trump because of his impact on the economy. Before I offer you my critiques of such an interesting position, I want you to first kind of expand on that thought.
The whole big beautiful bill thing.
Just how you think Trump is good for the economy.
I think so him lowering the taxes on the rich can kind of help the poor because then they can afford to pay them more. It's kind of like a trickle down effect, I think.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you've never done any research on tax policy. You're not a business owner, and you haven't done too much research on economics as a whole, and this is just kind of an intuitive superstition to you.
My dad worked in mergers and acquisitions, so he knows a lot about this kind of stuff.
Well, if your dad worked in mergers and acquisitions, I don't think this is something your dad would say. Cutting the corporate tax rate doesn't incentivize corporations to pay their employees more because the corporate tax rate only impacts what is considered retained profits of an organization, which is the annualized gross revenue after all business expenses, which would include payroll. So if anything, when we have a higher corporate tax rate, corporations are more incentivized to pay their employees more because then they could claim that as a tax deduction, then they have to pay a lower overall tax on their retained over their retained profits. All right. Now, this is exactly why, since the introduction of trickle-down economics under Reagan's administration, and since then, we have seen a stagnation in worker wages with increases in worker productivity, because now, if anything, corporations actually have less incentive to reinvest back more into their payroll, because there's a lower level of tax savings for doing so, because now they're getting taxed at a significantly lower rate. And this is also exactly why Brookings, which is a financial institution, did a study on the outcomes of Donald Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in his first term, which also cut the taxes on the rich, and they concluded that it actually led to no new macro-level business reinvestment.
I don't know. It's just from my personal experience, I have done...
You don't have personal experience to explain why corporations would pay more to their employees if they had a cut in their corporate tax rate. I'm cutting you off after you didn't cut me off. My apologies. Go ahead.
Well, why do you support DEI if that's just another result of capitalism? They're just an excuse to give the rich more tax cuts, isn't it?
I don't see how those two dots connect. But this is a different topic as a whole. I want you to tell us what experience you have that perfectly describes how I am wrong in my economic evaluation that when we cut taxes on corporations, that doesn't then increase the pay of employees.
I don't really... Well, he expanded the child tax credit as well.
Okay, another topic.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I guess I'm not as well educated on this.
Okay, so in the future, when you're not educated on a subject to the sufficient extent to defend your claim about that subject, i.e., cutting taxes on corporations leads to better conditions for the employees of those corporations, then don't make that claim with such confidence. Okay?
Okay.
All right, and I feel like that's fair. Now, the next thing that you said is that the big, beautiful bill under Trump included increases in the child tax credit. It did. But Kamala Harris, the Democrat, ran on increases in the child tax credit that were 3 times larger, my friend. And when we evaluate the total outcome of Trump's economic policy, not just the big, beautiful bill, but also the tariffs, what we see is a mess, a mess, a mess, a mess, a mess. Okay? Last year, worst jobs report since 2003 if we ignore recessions. Last year, most manufacturing bankruptcy since 2010 following the end of the Great Recession. Okay? Last year, we only added 177,000 jobs to the economy. During the last 6 months, we barely even added 60,000 jobs to the economy. And in February of this year, we actually lost 93,000 jobs from the economy. Last year, GDP growth was down 1%. Okay, unemployment was at a 5-year high. We had 1.3 million layoffs. In February of this year, prices rose for manufacturers by 3.4% in 1 month, which is more than the total level of inflation under 2024 at the end of the Biden-Harris administration.
But
Now,
during Obama's presidency, there was a recession, and the economy was awful during then. But people didn't blame Obama, did they?
he did act. So Obama walked into a recession that started before his presidency, and then he solved it in his first year.
And then he was a war criminal.
Okay, so I just want to clarify that your response to everything that I just described to you about why Donald Trump's economic policy has been so terrible is to say that Obama's a war criminal. Seems like you're a really smart fella. I mean,
well, there was
you're
the
really
whole
good at defending the
base
points that you're making. Whenever somebody's able to describe to you why you're wrong about your claim that Trump is good for the economy, just call Obama a war criminal. It's a great debate tactic. Trump is a war criminal. Okay, it was a war crime when we killed 160 girls in an elementary school in southern Iran. It was a war crime when we took out their civilian infrastructure.
It was a war crime when we double tapped
suspected narco boats in the South Caribbean, in accordance with the ICC and ICJ. Now, are you going to respond to any of the economic facts that I gave you to describe how Trump is bad for the economy, or are you going to respond to any of the facts that I gave you insofar as how and why Trump is a war criminal? I suspect not.
What I've heard is that it is short-term pain for like long-term gain.
So
that
war crimes are only bad when Obama does it?
Oh, well, did you support the bombing of Hiroshima?
No.
You didn't support it?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't think that in any scenario, the evisceration and evaporation of tens of thousands of children is ever morally permissible.
The only other option was to put boots on the ground, and that would have costed more lives. I
know that's what the imperialists like to say. Here's my radical stance. Even if that's true, it was still unjust. I think that there's some actions that cannot be justified based upon the consequences that they lead to. Okay? Rape is always wrong, even if somebody getting raped led to some great outcome, such as a great, anti-sex violence advocate that then reformed the way we as a society talk about rape and then reduced the level of rape to close to zero. Okay, the fact that she was raped was still wrong, even if the fact that she was raped led to her being a great anti-rape advocate. There's just a certain set of actions that are always wrong, regardless of the outcome that they lead to, including evaporating tens of thousands of kids.
I think you're just not looking at the overall numbers of who would have and wouldn't have died. I think that's what really matters.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Even if it led to overall less death, it's still wrong because it's never okay to just evaporate tens of thousands of kids. That's my position. It's called deontic morality. Deontology, okay, is a branch of normative ethics where you think that things are always wrong regardless of the consequences in which they lead to. Then utilitarianism is where you judge the morality of an action based upon the consequences that it leads to. So I think some actions are, evaluated morally speaking through that utilitarian lens where we say they're good or bad based upon the actions that they lead to, i.e. lying. Sometimes lying could be good because if you tell a lie to save a society, okay, that's justified. But sometimes lying could be bad, like cheating on your girlfriend and lying to her about it. Okay, but other actions like the murder and genocide of children and rape, I don't really care what consequence you think that had, i.e., saving the lives of more American soldiers. Ultimately, I still think that it's immoral, regardless of the outcomes in which it led to.
If a trolley was heading towards 3 people and you could pull the lever to divert it to another track that would only kill 1 person, would you pull the lever?
Yeah, the trolley problem is the endorsement of utilitarianism. At least that's what a lot of low IQ people think. So yeah, clearly, I would pull the lever and make it kill the 1 person. Which is why in some scenarios, I hold to utilitarian ethics. However, I do not hold to utilitarian ethics in all scenarios. Right? Like, like, if 1 person getting raped, okay, could save the lives of, like, 5 people that are going to die unless this person is raped, would that rape be justified?
Sorry, can you ask the question again?
If 1 person was going to get raped, okay, a child was going to get raped, okay, and if that child gets raped, the lives of 5 other random people across the globe are going to be saved. If that child is not raped, those 5 random people across the globe are going to die. Do you think it'd be good to rape that child?
I don't think it would be good. I don't think you can say that that is good.
Exactly. So we just rejected utilitarian ethics because we're dictating here that it would be wrong to rape a child regardless of what consequence that would lead to, okay? Which is, once again, just a description of deontic ethics. But we're not here to have a conversation about moral philosophy and normative ethics and what kind of normative ethical frameworks people could hold to, like deontic frameworks, utilitarian frameworks, so on and so forth. We're here to have a conversation about why you support Trump. You attempted to tell us that you think Trump is a good president because of his outcome on the economy. I shot that down. You then accused Obama of being a war criminal. Then I said Trump's a war criminal. Then you wanted to start having a conversation with me about normative ethics or utilitarian ethics, which is fun. I mean, that's what I went to university for 2.5 years for. Okay, I love talking about moral ethics. Okay, but that's not what we're doing on live, because on live we're here to talk about why you support Trump.
I think I had another reason. I didn't know I was going to be like the first person to get up here.
You are.
Can I go look something up? Yeah, real quick.
How about I ask you a question?
What?
Would you stop supporting Trump as president if he threatened and called for the execution of 6 of his political opponents in Congress baselessly?
I don't know why he would do that.
If he did do that, would you stop supporting him?
Called for the execution of 6 people?
Baselessly. 6 of his political opponents, because they're his political opponents in Congress.
Like, belligerently, just said that they should...
Yeah, with no good reason whatsoever.
I guess so.
You would stop supporting Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, he did this like 14 weeks ago on Truth Social. He called 6 random Democrats in Congress traitors. He said that their sedition was punishable by death. And then he reposted one of his followers' comments that said, "Hang them, George Washington would."
He didn't really say it. He said that they deserved death. He didn't say that they should, or that they would do that.
In the repost that said "hang them," that's definitely the cherry on top that would refute your position.
He reposted that?
Mm-hmm.
Can I go on Teacup to check this?
You don't need to go on Teacup to check this. I could just show you right now.
The president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, justified unlawful orders by saying that this is really bad and dangerous to our country and that their words cannot be allowed to stand. He then followed that up with a second post that reads, "This is seditious behavior, punishable by death." And then he reposted a comment that reads, quote unquote, "Hang them, George Washington would." This is the most dystopian.
There you go. Look at that. Don't even need to go on Teacup, dude.
Yeah. I don't know.
What don't you know? Tell me.
Whether or not I support him?
Okay, well, I think that you should know that you don't support him because you said if he did this, you wouldn't support him. He did it, therefore you shouldn't support him. I mean, hopefully, if you're consistent in your principles.
Okay.
So have we changed your mind?
I guess so.
Okay. All right. Well, then you have a good rest of your day. I definitely don't think that guy had his mind changed, but okay, I think that he logically can conclude that he shouldn't support Trump. Now he just needs to get over that hump of cognitive dissonance between what he could logically reason to be true and what he emotionally wants to be true. So, like, that's actually not necessarily a bad way for a debate to end. Hi, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, how old are you?
23.
Okay, all right. Do you think that you could get a little bit closer to your mic?
You can hear me better now?
I can. One moment. Hey, Libs triggered. Oh, Libs triggered ran away. Unfortunate. Yeah, man, tell us, why the hell do you support the worst president of your life? Donald Trump is clearly mentally unfit to serve. He's a total mess. He's just completely incompetent. He has the same vocabulary of the same 40 words, and he spams them in every interview that he's given for the last 8 months. Okay, and his incompetence is hurting us a lot. All right, from, the shifting of the quote-unquote negotiations in the war in Iran, to the failure with on the domestic front with our own policy, to the just downright evilness of calling for the execution of Democrats and supporting it when it happens, like with Alex Preddy, when a good Keith Porter. Tell us, how do you still support him?
It's funny because, and you know this too, presidents, they're all puppets. I feel like Donald Trump, he's a true patriot. I don't feel like we need any weak Democrat president.
Okay, what makes him a true patriot? Is it the infringing on the Constitution? Is it the trying to enter civic and electoral processes with J6? Is it the calling his, all the Democrats terrorists? Is it the threatening to make it illegal to criticize him in the media? Is it the trying to terminate the 14th Amendment? Are these the things that make him a true patriot?
He's doing what every other president was doing to keep this country in power.
Then you think that Biden, Obama, Clinton, they were all true patriots?
Kamala Harris isn't fit.
So just to clarify, you think that Biden and Obama were true patriots, right?
No.
But you said that Trump is doing the same thing that every other president has. So if Trump is a true patriot because of the things in which he's doing, and he's doing the same thing that every other president has, then every other president is also a true patriot.
That's the Democrat Party.
What's that?
That's the Democrat Party. I'm Republican.
Oh, he's doing the same thing that every other Republican president has done.
Yeah, I'm all Republican.
Okay, all right. So, like, what specifically?
Like taking oil from Venezuela.
Okay, so stealing things from other countries makes you a patriot? Why?
Because it keeps power.
Okay, so more power, the more patriotic. Okay, so the more power, the more patriotic. Got it. So do you think that it'd be like patriotic to overthrow the government of like our allies and take out the UK, take out France, take out every other country in NATO, and then just put them all under the American reign? Like would that be patriotic because it'd give us more power?
Everybody doing it in some degree.
All right, I'm pretty sure that this dude is just mentally incoherent. We're gonna go ahead and get him gone. Let's go to move on to the next guest, guys. For the Trump supporters that want to join the live stream, I just very politely ask you guys, be at least like a little bit intelligent. Well, that's okay. I guess have an IQ of at least 40 minimum. Hi, do you support Trump?
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
Okay, can you please turn down that TV in the background or step away into another room?
Yep.
Okay, and while you're doing that, tell us, what year were you born in?
February 16th, 2007.
Okay, and you're a Trump supporter?
Yes.
It's God, insane. Why?
Okay, so we can examine on his second term exclusively. We can see that gross domestic product would have been the highest that it's ever been in modern American history if it wasn't for the first Democratic government shutdown. We can also look at gas prices pre-Iranian conflict, how they were drastically going down. We can also see that the Iranian conflict is us dismantling a dangerous regime that would soon nuke America at some point or bomb America, start an American conflict, just like we saw in Pakistan or the rest of the Middle East, etc. But yeah, pretty much that's why I support Trump.
Okay. All right. Well, this will be easy. So you said that we've had the highest GDP in modern American history. So it's not modern American history. It's all of American history. That kind of like usually tends to be the case. If we look at the American economy in 3-year intervals, each interval is going to have a higher average GDP than the last interval. If we just completely account for all recessions, okay, then the GDP only goes up every single year. All right. So the fact that the GDP has continued to go up under Trump is not meaningful in the slightest. What would be meaningful is if the GDP growth under Trump was faster than the GDP growth under previous administrations, which is not true. In fact, GDP growth in 2025 was cut down by 1% compared to where it was at in 2024 under Biden. So that GDP point has been nullified. Your second point was that the gas prices were low before the war. Well, why would we just look at them before the war? Let's go ahead and look at them after the war started. Gas prices have risen the fastest they have since the Vietnam War in the 60s. Your second point has been nullified. Your third point that Trump is dismantling the very dangerous and tyrannical IRGC is false. He's actually only giving them more power. He's now considering directly giving them $30 billion in sanction relief, okay, as a part of a peace agreement to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and hopefully get rid of their uranium. None of this would be something we'd have to do if he didn't pull us outside of the JCPOA in the first place, which was a denuclearization agreement signed into effect under Obama. I'd also like to point out that he is not dismantling the IRGC in the slightest because he wants the IRGC to stay in power. He has already claimed that all military objectives have been met and that the IRGC now has more reasonable voices leading them. This means that he wants the IRGC to continue to be in place, continue to govern over Iran, and we do not possess a military objective of dismantling them or throwing them over. In consideration of all the information that I just shared, all three of your points, ranging from GDP growth to gas prices to dismantling the IRGC, have been proven false.
Okay, let's go from one point to another. If the GDP was the highest it's ever been in all American history, or whatever you want me to say, under Kamala Harris, would you be glazing her or speaking higher of her or using that as a defensive point?
No, because the GDP increasing doesn't matter. What matters is if the GDP is disproportionately increasing faster than it was before because of their policy. And you cannot make that claim about Trump because, once again, GDP growth has actually gone down.
Okay, and then my second point was gas prices pre-Iranian conflict or war.
Why do we draw the line pre-Iran war?
Because they're obviously going to go up if our country gets into a war or a conflict.
Well, yeah, started by
especially
Trump.
because they're stopping, especially because they're blocking the Strait of Hormuz, which makes oil prices go up.
Because Donald Trump started a war with them. So it's ultimately Donald Trump's fault.
Correct, but we need to dismantle the dangerous regime because we've already seen in the past that they are bombing other countries in the Middle East. They killed countless Americans in Iraq. I mean, overall, they're a dangerous regime that had to be dismantled.
Okay, and it wasn't dismantled. The IRGC is still in power. In fact, he's only going to make them more powerful by giving them sanction relief.
That's incorrect. Their entire navy, their army is completely dismantled. And then once we completely finish the job, their citizens will take over power and completely overturn the government.
Donald Trump has already claimed that we have finished the job. In fact, he's incentivizing the Iranian citizens to not overthrow the Iranian government, the IRGC, by saying that we've already achieved regime change, and now the voices leading the IRGC are in fact more reasonable, and he wants to go into a long-term peace agreement with the IRGC. Like, what's on the table is a peace agreement that would extend until like 2040, okay? This would mean that Donald Trump wants the IRGC to be in power until at least the 2040s. And then you claim that we dismantled the IRGC by taking out a lot of their naval and militant means. First, you were wrong by suggesting that we completely destroyed them. No, in fact, 20 ships were turned away from the Strait of Hormuz this morning after being shot at by bits of the Iranian military, including their naval ships. So you were wrong. Have they been hurt? Have they been crippled? Yes. But will they be able to rebuild all of those military facilities with a long-term peace agreement with the U.S. like Donald Trump wants that would even thwart attacks from other countries like Israel Israel because they can no longer claim that they're an imminent nuclear threat, which was the same reason why they opposed the JCPOA? And will they then have more money because of the sanction relief to rebuild their military? Yes. So your claim that Trump is dismantling the RGC is false.
Okay, so I'd also like to gloss over the fact that I said, so yes, their military being destroyed and dismantled does not completely destroy their dangerous regime and government, but once the people take power, they don't have military, they don't have people to defend them, they storm the government, they kill their government officials, etc., and their people can take over, and whether with Trump's help, we can start a new, better government in Iran.
That's not what Donald Trump is doing.
What's he doing?
I just told you why. Donald Trump is not giving a takeover to the Iranian people on a golden plate. He's not. Okay, he's telling the Iranian people to stay inside. He's telling the Iranian people that he's already done it. He's already done a regime change, lying straight to their faces, saying that now the new leaders are more reasonable, and then he's working with those leaders to hopefully achieve an agreement that will last until the 2040s. He does not want the RGC to go away.
Okay, that is a very good point. So what I would have liked to have seen was to completely reset their government, to completely reset to what they were, their military, etc., to become a better companion or ally of America and not be a threat to national security or the security of other nations around them.
So then you don't think that what Donald Trump is doing is the right move?
Correct. I'm not going to sit here and defend him as a person. I think as a person, he's a very negative, rude, overall horrible person.
Do you mind if I hop in here?
Sure.
Okay. So then you concede the third reason that you gave insofar as why you support Trump, i.e. dismantling the RGC. Do you concede the first and the second reason about GDP growth and the price of gas?
Sorry, say that.
So you gave me three reasons why you support Trump. Okay. GDP going up, price of gas going down before war in Iran, and then dismantling the RGC. You just conceded the whole dismantling the RGC bit. Okay, you ended up saying that you actually don't agree with his policy after I've explained to you how that's not what he's doing. So you're wrong. We're now left with the first two reasons that you gave. Price of gas and GDP growth. Let's go one by one here. Let's just, take it at one bit at a time. Do you agree that we can't say Donald Trump is a good president because the GDP has continued to go up under his administration? And the only way that we'd be able to attribute positive GDP growth to Trump is if we could demonstrate that his policy caused it to increase disproportionately faster than it was before. But that's a non-starter because, in fact, GDP growth is down from where it was at under Biden. So do you concede the first point that Donald Trump is a good president because of GDP growth?
I do not concede the point that he is a good president, but I do concede the point of why he is a good president of the...
Yes, that's what I'm asking you.
The GDP, if what you're saying is true, I can't... If it's actually down from where it currently was, but
my source, by the way, is my source is Economic Insider, Trading Economics. Trading Economics is my source. Now, before you ask your question, I just want to go through one last point. So you give me three reasons: GDP growth, gas, and war. You conceded the point about the war. You conceded the point about the GDP growth. The last point that we're left with is gas. Okay, so what did Donald Trump do to reduce the price of gas prior to the war in Iran?
He increased oil production, and us in Venezuela, we also were able to increase crude oil production, and increasing oil production therefore cheapens gas prices. Okay,
so Donald Trump did not disproportionately increase the production of crude oil in America compared to where it was at under the Biden-Harris administration. My source is the EIA. The EIA tracks the production of crude oil in America. We saw the largest increase in the production of crude oil in this country under the Biden-Harris administration. Has it continued to go up under the last year and a half of Donald Trump's second term? Yes. But has it been going up at the same rate it was under Biden? No. So we do not see a disproportionate increase in the price of, in the production of crude oil under the Trump administration.
Okay, I also do have another question for you real quick.
Okay, just to clarify, do you concede the first 3 points that you made insofar as why you support Trump?
If what you are saying and the sources are correct, then yes. If I was completely abundantly wrong, I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not, I'm pretty straightforward when it comes to politics. I don't worship a president.
Okay.
So
fantastic. So now it seems like we're at a clear slate because the first and only three reasons that you gave have been defeated. We're at a clear slate. You said you have a question for me. Feel free to ask.
Okay, so when it comes to the Epstein files, isn't it true at one point that anybody could have called in a accusation that related to Jeffrey Epstein has something to do with Trump, and the FBI would be forced to add it to the Epstein files? So the Epstein files are pretty much unreliable because of that fact that anybody could have called in a fake accusation, and it could have been just immediately put into the Epstein files. And I'd also like to add one more thing. Do you believe that the accusation about Kamala Harris, that she was given a 3-year-old child and she then inserted the arm into her groin, do you believe that is true? And if so, then that shouldn't be, if you still support her, even though she's in the Epstein files, you shouldn't be a hypocrite and use it as a point against President Trump.
Okay, so I agree with 25% of what you said, and then I disagree with 75% of what you said. So 65% of what you said. Jeez. Holy shit. Sorry, I'm so washed. 75% of what you said. I'm so fucking washed. Holy shit,
okay.
It's been a long day. But anyways, all right, to get back to what I was saying. So I do agree that for the FBI tip line, anybody could call in and make a report and say whatever they want anonymously on the tip line. So for all of the logged data entries, specifically from the tip line, we're going to be deeming them to be credible or non-credible surrounding the information that was included in the report, i.e. were they able to name a date, a time, and a location of a place that we knew Trump was at, i.e. was there any information involved inside of this anonymous tip? Did it have a name attached, that would have indicated it to be more likely to be true based upon it being information that would be publicly known, okay, so on and so forth. That's the way that we would evaluate the reliability of the accusations made about the FBI hot tip line. Now, what is really reliable here would be those in which sat down with the FBI for multiple 302 interviews, because this is once the FBI has received a report from a tip line, they're able to identify who gave the report, then they're able to reach back out to the person that gave the report, confirm that it was true, get them to testify to this under penalty of perjury, and then they sit down with them multiple times because they think that they're a credible accuser to then get more information from them. Okay, and that's who we have an accusation against Trump from, Jane Doe number 3. And Jane Doe number 3 didn't only sit down for 3 in-person FBI 302 interviews, okay, but she also claimed that this happened to her at the hand of Epstein, and she then later sued Epstein's estate and won $1 million settlement. So we know, okay, that a victim of Epstein's trafficking, all right, also accused Trump. And that is very reliable, and that is very credible.
Okay, so what about the accusation that was made about Kamala Harris?
What's the ETF number? I'll take a look.
I could not tell you the ETF number. I can tell you, you might be able to just look up the headline of it, of how Jeffrey Epstein gave her a 3-year-old infant, and she inserted that child's arm into her groin.
Yeah, I'm going to need an ETF number for that. You could also just give me a source for it, like on an article, and then I would assume that the article would include the ETF number. But see, the issue here is when I look up Epstein files accusation against Kamala Harris, I don't get any results for that.
If you give me just a second, I probably will be able to find whatever that is. I
just want to quickly show you this to you. Okay. Right. So when I type in Epstein files accusation against Kamala Harris, what do I see? Something from the House.gov just saying that she's defending the administration, not to pressure the DOJ to release them. The second thing is factcheck.org, Epstein files archives. Okay, nothing to do with Kamala Harris. It's talking about Jared Polis in the metadata. The third thing, fact check, this photo of Kamala Harris with Jeffrey Epstein is fake. Talking about some AI photo of her and Harris, that one. But there's no information about any accusation made against Kamala Harris. What I would say is that you probably saw this as a post on Twitter and ran with it and just treated it like it's real, but it was legit fake misinfo made up by some Russian bot.
So listen, I wasn't saying that it's true. In fact, I actually didn't disprove it, but I did not believe it. In fact,
what I'm saying is I don't even think that the allegation exists in the Epstein files.
I did find a small screenshot of it that looks like it could have been in the Epstein files, to be honest with you. I found it on TikTok, so it could obviously, listen, it could have been a lie. Not saying it was true. I was just simply asking you that if she was in the Epstein files, would that be a,
I guess what I'm asking you isn't even to prove the allegation is true, but prove that the allegation exists.
Okay, so you're thinking I just made it up. I can try to find it in my camera roll.
No, I don't believe that
okay,
you
I
made
actually
it
found
up.
I just found it.
I don't believe that you made it up. I believe that this is legitimately something you saw. I'm just saying the thing that you saw was made up.
Dataset 10.
Okay.
I don't know if that's of importance.
So we're in dataset 10. ETF number what?
Says EF1A0165951.pdf.
Wait. Go slower. Go ahead. EF1.
A01.
EFA.
01.
O is in 0 or O is in O?
0.
EFA01. Go ahead.
659.
659.
151.
151.
.pdf.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the thing is that does not exist on the Epstein file library. You can see my search bar. I'm on search.justice.gov. Oh, wait. You know what? This might be the main search bar for the Justice Department. Yeah. Wait. Is it? Let me see. Nope. Epstein file library. There's the search for the library. All right. Let's see. Oh, well, no. No results found in the Epstein library either.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying that it was absolutely true.
Maybe you forgot the T? Maybe it's like EFTA?
It could have been. It's
there
really
you go. There you go. I gotcha.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So somewhere inside of these 37 pages, we're expecting to find a allegation made against Kamala Harris.
I can just read it out for you if you'd like.
Oh, it's fine. I have it open up right here. So let's just go Control F. Kamala. All right. So one of them says, Office of Special Counsel says Navarro repeatedly violated Hatch-Act. Says the report identifies 6 media interviews over a course of 5 months in which Navarro, appearing in his public capacity, criticized Biden or Kamala. The report also says Navarro criticized Biden or Harris. Okay, nothing about an allegation right there. In fact, this is just part of like a newsletter that it looks like Epstein got to his email. So let's go to the second mention. Harris's sister has reportedly promoted her husband for AG. Reports say that Maya Harris, sister of Kamala Harris, has participated in conversations with Allied aimed at boosting her husband's candidacy for Attorney General. Okay, once again, nothing to do with an allegation made against Kamala Harris. And here's a third one. President-elect Biden introduces members of his health team. President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris introduce their nominees and appointments to key health posts following an announcement from yesterday. Okay, nothing to do with an accusation. So you just gave me the ETF number for the PDF from the Epstein library that you said contained an allegation made against Kamala Harris. We then went and found that document on justice.gov. We pulled it up. We Control F for Kamala, and we found 3 mentions of the name Kamala, but none of those mentioned included any accusation made against her. In fact, the ETF that we have pulled up here doesn't seem to be the contents of any list of allegations made against Epstein or associates, or include anything that references sexual wrongdoings. In fact, this just looks like an automated email sent from Bulletin Intelligence, quote unquote, to FBI at Bulletin Intelligence. So this was an internal FBI email going over Bulletin newsletters that happened to mention Kamala Harris 3 times.
Okay, so my point was not saying that it was true. It was simply asking if you had seen it and
but the allegation doesn't exist.
Okay.
Do you accept that?
I do accept
that you saw like misinformation, right?
I do accept that.
Like it's just not even in the Epstein files.
Honestly, I should have looked for myself, especially when I seen that accusation. To be honest, I kind of just screenshot it and was using it kind of as a sticker on TikTok. So I probably should have done more research myself to really look into that and see if it was absolutely true. Now,
can appreciate you admitting that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not one of the type of Trump supporters when it comes down to treating him as a god and treating him as, that he can do absolutely nothing wrong and is the best president ever, etc. But
yeah, I mean, you've been on for a while. Let's just kind of go over everything that we touched on. You said Trump was a good president because gas prices. You ended up conceding that was a bad point to make. You said Donald Trump was a good president because of, dismantling the RGC. You ended up conceding that that's not what Trump is doing. You said that Donald Trump is a good president because of GDP growth. You ended up conceding that was a bad point. And then you said that Kamala Harris was incriminated inside of the Epstein files via an allegation made against her. We go to the Epstein file that you said incriminated her. It did not. So there's been no argument that you've been able to provide to me in the time you've been on this live that is something that has had any validity whatsoever, and that fact has been realized by yourself. I think you should stop supporting Trump.
I'd like to talk about his first term as well.
To identify any good reasons why he's president.
I will say one thing. So I do think that there's been a drastic shift between the time that he was obviously the first term of him campaigning, and then it's come to his second term. His second term, I've looked at his pardons. His pardons are absolutely disgusting. He's pardoned people who have tried to rig the election. He's pardoned NBA YoungBoy. Pardoned lots of just weird people that just have absolutely no reason to be pardoned. And at one point, he also tried to pardon somebody that was not under a federal conviction, so he can't pardon him. And then he tried to threaten. I don't remember exactly who it was. It was some governor, whatever, in Colorado, I believe. Could be wrong about that, and then tried to threaten him, basically saying that he will cut off funding or something if he doesn't, pardon him or let the pardon go through.
So yeah, you're talking about a lady from my county, from Mesa County, who in the county I live in, tried to help rig the outcome of the election here. Tina Peters, who was then sent to jail for it because she broke the law. And Jared Polis is unwilling to let Tina Peters out of jail because she's a bad criminal and deserves to be locked away. And then Donald Trump was threatening to fuck us over because of it, okay? And you brought it up yourself. He also pardoned people that tried to rig the election. I'm happy that you know that, because that's totally true. He gave a full and complete pardon to Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman. Why is that not enough? If he's giving pardons to people that literally tried to rig an election, he should not be anywhere near the Oval Office, because he gave pardons to domestic
like I said, there's been
terrorists. When we live under a democracy, a functioning constitutional republic, that to its core is reliant on our free and fair elections, anybody who attempts to destroy said constitutional republic by attempting to destroy our free and fair elections by rigging them, they are literally domestic terrorists. I am not overstating that. That is a fact. Why are we supporting somebody as president that not only surrounded himself with domestic terrorists, because John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani were some of his best friends and advisors, but then gave those domestic terrorists full and complete presidential pardons?
So I would also like to say that there has definitely been a drastic jump in my level of support for President Trump when it comes down to his first term, his campaigning for a second term, and then when he was elected for a second term. So if we look at being elected for a second term, there has been a complete attitude change. I feel like he's moving toward more to a politician than he is moving toward, we were told this is a businessman. He's going to deport all the illegal immigrants. He's going to close the border. He's going to do all these great things. And realistically, for the second term, we weren't given a lot. He also ran on no new wars. And then we started an Iranian conflict. While I do believe that it will do some good, it's also very strange to me of how that's one of his main campaign promises, but then he goes and strictly breaks it when he starts a conflict with another country. So I do think that we've seen a drastic change.
Then why are we?
But I do believe he was the better. He was the better. He was the better of the two evils when it came down to him or Kamala Harris.
Why is that?
She did nothing as vice. She did absolutely nothing as vice president. She couldn't get it. She wouldn't be able to do any. She was given two assignments. She was given the war in Ukraine, and she was also given the border. She did absolutely nothing on either two of those. The Ukraine war still going on, and there were over 10 million undocumented immigrants that came in under the Biden-Harris administration. And those people we can use Lake and Riley, for example. There's been plenty of Americans that have been victimized by illegal immigrants. And that's one of the main issues that I'm so passionate about, that they came here, they broke our immigration law. Almost every country around the world has immigration law that's punishable by deportation. So why should we be any different when it comes down to because a lot of the left is saying we should have open borders. All the illegal immigrants should get amnesty. The way I view it, they should all be deported. If they have no criminal record, they should have the ability to come back the right way. Sorry about the clock, but they should be able to be elected the right way. Period. But all the ones they should all be deported, and the ones that have no criminal history should be able to come back.
Okay.
In the correct way and become an American.
So you said that she did nothing as vice president. Name one thing
Yes.
that any vice president in American history has ever done.
They're given assignments by the president to do, and she did not execute on absolutely any of the assignments
VP in American history has ever done.
Joe Biden.
Can you answer my question?
Sorry, what?
I asked you a question, and you didn't answer it. You just responded with a talking point.
Please say it again.
Name one thing that any VP in American history has ever done.
I'm not as informed on past administrations as I am starting from Biden-Harris administration and up. I'm a little informed on Obama's administration.
Then name one thing J.D. Vance has done.
He's taking on fraud.
How?
He was given the assignment of fraud.
I know, but like, what has he done? Being given an assignment is not doing something. So what has he done?
He's taking fraud cases, for example, in Minneapolis of all the
what is he?
But nationality, the Somalians, and
he's not a judge. Okay, he's not an attorney. He's not a lawyer. So what is he doing with that?
He's getting officers and getting investigators to go and look into it, etc.
Okay, can you give me a source for that?
I cannot.
Okay. So you can't. So in other words, like, we don't even know that something J.D. Vance has done. You could, as far as I know, just kind of be bullshitting me, making it up on the spot. And the reason why I asked this question is because that right there, I don't know one thing any VP in American history has ever done, is the knowledge that the average American has on vice presidents. The vice president, regardless of the administration in which they serve under, okay, is kind of on the public eye back burner. They're there to support the president and do what they need. We really don't hear too much about them. And this is why I find it to be so disingenuous for anybody to ever say that they'd never have voted for Kamala Harris because she did nothing as VP, because clearly if the average American doesn't know anything any VP has ever done, then the average American wouldn't know one thing Kamala Harris has done in order to dispute the claim that she did nothing.
So what you're saying is that no vice presidents do absolutely nothing, and that they're
not what I'm saying. You are verily grossly misinterpreting my statement. I never said that VPs don't do anything. I said that the vast majority of Americans don't know what they do, including yourself. So it's dishonest to make the argument that because you don't know one thing she did, therefore she did nothing. Okay? Because in fact, she did a lot, like passing the most tie-breaking votes in the Senate out of any VP in American history.
Okay, so I'd like to stop you right there. That is not
the most monumental policy of modern American history, like the Chips and Science Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the American Rescue Plan, and the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, and she actually worked with Biden on helping to reduce the levels of undocumented immigration into this country by working diplomatically with Southern Latin American countries to increase their socioeconomic well-beings, to then reduce the incentive for immigration in the first place. And she was very successful in that role. In fact, she was able to reduce the immigration from Guatemala upwards of 50%.
Okay, so first of all, having the most tie-breaking votes in history isn't really an accomplishment. It's simply her job. I wouldn't argue that it's more of an accomplishment and more of just not really an accomplishment. It's simply her job. Second of all, helping other nations is a very negative and bad way to take on immigration and immigration enforcement.
Oh, why?
It might not be the worst way in the world, but I think traditional deportation and what we're doing exactly right now is the best way to execute and get these illegal immigrants out of our country.
I disagree with that. But even if it were true that undocumented immigrant was the best way, that doesn't mean, mass deportation was the best way, which I disagree with. That, like, working diplomatically with Southern Latin American countries is a bad way. And in fact, working diplomatically with other countries to reduce the incentive for immigration in the first place is, like, literally the best thing we can do, because then it doesn't mean that we have to pay for the expense of building the facilities and hiring more ICE officers to then find them and identifying them once they're here, to then send them on the plane back to their home country if we're going to do a mass deportation. That's why just eliminating the incentive in the first place is the very best way to go, because it's the fastest way to go and it's the most cost efficient way.
What are we going to do about the illegal immigrants that are already in our country and that are correct? What?
Why are you pivoting?
I'm asking you a question.
I know, but the question is moving away from the topic, because you just said that it's really bad, okay, to attempt to reduce undocumented immigration by working diplomatically with other countries to reduce the incentive in the first place. Rather,
I did not say it was really bad. I said it's not the best way. I said it's not the best way.
You said it was bad, and I quote, I could literally replay the VOD. Elite Associates, I appreciate you so much for the really cool chat. I appreciate you. Do you want me to replay the VOD to where you said that?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
We're doing exactly right now is an accomplishment and more of just not really an accomplishment. It's simply her job. Second of all, helping other nations is a very negative and bad way to take on immigration. And damn, I did not think I said that. Wow. Well, I take back that point. Okay, must have been misspoken, etc. But it is not the best way. Do you argue that it is a better way to work with other countries to stop illegal immigrants from coming to our country than getting ones that are already inside of our country out?
Yes.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay. Well, I find your belief in mass deportation to be very ill-willed, predominantly for this reason. Name one quantifiable positive outcome of mass deportation on this country.
We can get the illegal immigrants that we have no idea who's in our country. If they're an illegal immigrant, we have no idea who they are, what they've done in the past. So listen, if we would have started deportation sooner, we could have stopped the countless deaths, for example, Lake and Riley. We could have stopped the countless deaths that have been right at the hands of
reducing crime.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
Reducing crime. My question for you is,
I don't want to question. I want a response to my question.
You asked me to give you 1 point. I told you reduce crime.
Okay, so that's a one specific positive outcome you could think of. Okay,
that's probably the best in my opinion.
Okay, well that point's not true. In fact, crime rates go up when we do a mass deportation because undocumented immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes in American soil compared to citizens. So when we exclude people from a data set and which are disproportionately less likely to do a bad thing, then the individual likelihood that somebody does a bad thing goes up. Elevate Associates, thank you so much for the 2 more signature jets. Thank you so much, Elevate. You are awesome. Show some love to Elevate in that chat. Thank you. But that point aside, okay, what you're going to find to be of more concern than crime rates would be nominal crime data. And in fact, we would expect there to be more crimes as a whole, given that we did a mass deportation, because a mass deportation destabilizes the fuck out of our industries and kills our economy, which then increases poverty. And when poverty goes up, so does crime.
So we can also use the point, the southern states during the Civil War, their argument was that the economy would crash if we abolish slavery. So I don't think that is a good reason at all to keep illegal immigrants in our country, just simply using them for hard labor and to boost our economy. I think that if we also got them out of our country, we would have more jobs for Americans and we would have more employed Americans if we had those jobs opened and weren't being worked by illegal immigrants.
You're too focused on the talking points compared to having any type of dialogue with substance. Because the point I was making wasn't even, we should keep undocumented immigrants here because they're good for the economy. But rather the point that I was making is that you were wrong when you suggested if we deport them, all crime would go down. We would actually expect crime to go up because our economy would be destabilized and that would increase poverty. So you just didn't even respond to the point I was making.
Like I said, we could have stopped the death of Lake and Riley if under the Biden-Harris administration we would have started deportations.
Oh my God. What the fuck? Sorry, man. Give me 1 moment here. Elevate Associates. Thank you so much for the Thunderbird. That is out of this world. Thank you so very much for the love. I want y'all to show some love to Elevate down below in that chat for the Thunderbird on TikTok. That is beyond kind of you. That is a crazy fucking gift. I want to see 1,000 Elevate W's down below in the chat. Thank you so much. That is nuts. Thank you so much, Elevate. Huge shout out to you. Thank you. Now, you are attempting to re-reference Lake and Riley. That does not disprove my claim in the slightest. Remember, my claim is crime goes up if we do mass deportation because mass deportation destabilizes economy and increase poverty, and a lot of crime is a result of poverty. Respond to that argument. Saying that Lake and Riley never would have died if Biden opened up the border, is actually not a cogent response to the claim that crime would go up if we were to do a mass deportation.
It's the fact that countless Americans were killed by illegal immigrants.
Holy shit. Elevate. Thank you for the TikTok universe. Bro, what is going on? Thank you, Elevate. Show some love to Elevate in the chat for the TikTok universe. I apologize for all of the interruptions, man. But Elevate out here is going on.
Of illegal immigrants. We can also go over back to the fact that 100% of illegal immigrants have broke our immigration law. Nearly every country has immigration law punishable by deportation, as I said earlier. So 100%
None
of these people
these
are criminals.
things challenges the premise that crime goes up if we do a mass deportation. None of them. Izzy, thank you for the unicorn fantasy. Shout out to Elevate and Izzy. Do you find yourself to be in a position of stun lock? Because that's what it sounds like.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Can I be honest, dude?
You can.
You're very clearly like ambitious about getting into politics. Very ambitious about, having these conversations. I see your account. It says free speak live, no bias, bringing free speech back to America, #vote. Okay.
I actually have a partner who is a leftist. That's why it says no biases.
Okay. And I think that, political ambition is cool. I just think that you've misplaced a lot of that political ambition. You probably started with like your bias towards the right because of the way that you were raised, or maybe what your friends believe, what your family members believe. And instead of like trying to deconstruct that bias or attempt to confirm if that bias actually tracks truth by doing your nuanced research into politics to determine if what you think is true, you instead just kind of memorize like the 1-point talking lines that we hear off of like the Republican figureheads on TV, like Trump himself, Caroline Leavitt, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, or Fox News, if I'm going to be honest. And I kind of feel like most of our conversation has been constituted of you making a talking point, like about the price of gas, about the overthrow of the RGC, about GDP growth, about undocumented immigrants, about the murder of Laken Riley. But as soon as we kind of get past that surface level of the talking points on the TV and we get into the nuance, like we're exploring right now, hey, mass deportation would actually increase crime rates because of reasons X, Y, and Z, you find yourself in a position of being totally stun-locked because you don't know how to respond, because you don't really know the substance of the conversation, because you haven't really done your research, you've just memorized the points, if that makes any sense. And what I would highly recommend to you is maybe continue to tune into my live. I think that you're a more reasonable person, like clearly with like 99% of the things that we've discussed so far today, you've been able to change your mind on them. And I think that'd be really good to further your own education. Now, maybe I'd like to run one last argument on you here before I do move on. Is that okay?
Okay. Yep, absolutely.
Right. Before I do that, I'm also going to thank a couple people
real quick,
for their
would I be able to
donations.
say after you thank them or whatever? Would I be able to say something real quick before you start in your next point?
Yeah, just say it real quick now.
Okay, so throughout the last few months, as Trump's been doing new things in his second term, I have definitely lost some support for him, as in, like I said earlier, the pardons, starting the Iranian conflict, which I do believe will do some good. But in the long run, he ran on no new wars. That was one of his main campaign promises from his first term, of having no new wars started under his first term. And then he goes and he starts an Iranian conflict. So it's really a turnoff there. And his pardons are really disgusting. And then I think on another account, I ended up messaging you. I did not get a response, but I was asking you some help on being a little bit more further educated, because we can also talk about the post he made recently depicting himself as Jesus and then thinking that his supporters are stupid and saying that he was a Red Cross doctor. That was just absolutely asinine and just anybody can see through that. And I'm hoping that most people can see right through that and not just right off of whatever President Trump says. But there are still things that I am pretty passionate about and I also believe that Trump can get stuff done if he has the ambition and the will to. Just because of his attitude of you're going to do this when I say it and how I say it, etc. type of attitude. But then there's also IPAC, I believe is what it's called, of him basically selling out to Israel and getting, I believe the number was $230 million from Israel. Then again, Kamala Harris also received $9 million from Israel. And I mean, overall, just a lot of politicians left and right have been selling out to Israel. And I mean, there is a lot of conspiracies there. But the main person that I could look to for information and for help on things, obviously I didn't know the guy personally or anything, was Charlie Kirk. But he was one of my main, what's the word you could use? People that I look to about politics. And you were right about the influence on my family being part of my politics. My grandfather, actually, he is very into politics. While he does watch mainly Fox News, and Fox News is on pretty frequently, I get notifications from CNN, BBC, and Fox News all on my phone. So I would be able to get information from all three and have different point of views on things that go on.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely share with you some good sources of information. I think a really good one is Ground News. They've sponsored me in the past, but they're not sponsoring me to say this now. They basically will pull in news reporting on any given subject from right, left, and center to be able to give you perspective on how, every side is putting their, different swing on things. So that's worth checking out. But I'm going to go ahead and thank a couple people real quick over on Super Chat. Thank you so much, MM, for the $20. I really appreciate you so much for the love, MM. Let's get 200 MMWs down below in that chat. He says, we don't know who's here. If you think about it, we don't really know who's here at all. Like, who's really here. He assumes if we know who's here, then there'd be no crime. Yeah, I mean, I generally agree with the sentiment, MM. Like in all reality, like, we don't have every citizen's fingerprints and DNA samples. We don't have a citizen of every citizen. We don't have a picture of every citizen either. It's a little bit hard to quote unquote know who's here, even if they're not an undocumented immigrant. Green Beagle, I appreciate you so much for the $10, who says, hey, Dino, I used to be a Trump supporter roughly a year ago and actually didn't like you very much, but I started watching you a few months ago and you've opened my eyes. Thank you. That is awesome, Green Beagle. That is why I do what I do. Thank you for sharing that with me. Kaylee, thank you for the 10, who says, hope you're well, Dean. I sure am. I'm having a good day today, Kaylee. Hope you're well. Thank you so much for the love and support. And then there were two other people who sent $20 super chats on YouTube, but for whatever reason, like, it's just straight up not pulling them up on my stream. There they are. Mary, thank you for the $20 on super chat. Thank you, Mary. Let's get 200 Mary W's down below. Thank you for supporting me in what we do. I appreciate you so much for the love. Have a great Saturday with your girlfriend and Momo. Love and appreciate you. Mary, you know that I love and appreciate you too, as always. You are here every day. I have so much love for you in my heart. Show some love to Mary down below. Same thing to you, King. Thank you for the $20, who says, bro, who comes up with this bullshit? Kamala Harris, seriously, SMH? King sent that donation in, like, after, like, this guy had, like, straight up, like, parroted some misinformation that he saw on his For You page about Kamala Harris being incriminated by the files. Yeah, that was some bullshit, not gonna lie.
No, I would like to say something about that. I straight up, you can even pull up the clip, I straight up just asked you what your belief on that was. I never said that it was true. In fact, I also said that I didn't believe that it was true.
But you ultimately, like, still parroted it. And we're just, like, saying that misinformation is some bullshit. That's all we're saying here. I have a couple more people to thank here. Hannah, thank you for the $10. She says, Dean Withers debates plus getting tattooed peak afternoon. Thank you for everything that you do. Hannah, thank you for the $10. What are you getting tattooed? That sounds like a fun day. And then Lily, thank you so much for the $10. And then Ben, thank you for the $5. We are all caught up over on Venmo. We need to quickly catch up on PayPal here on PayPal. Thank you so much for the $10. Katrina, who says, hey, Dean, in many places, grape is colloquially known as penetration of the private area with anything. It could be a part of the perp's body or an object. Just thought I'd say something about that because it's been on my mind. Yeah, no, a lot of people who join our live absolutely dispute that, and it's sick. It's actually gross. But I really do appreciate you so much for the love. Same thing to you, Sarah. Thank you for the $10 on PayPal. He says, I'd like to bring attention to how we no longer have DEI reporting numbers to the MMIW. We have a huge problem in Alaska. Well, thank you so much for the $10, Sarah. K, that is KAE. Thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Says, yesterday, a gentleman tried to say that you were too young to speak the way that you do. Thank the Most High you woke up today and said, fuck that. Yeah, bro. That guy was nuts. Okay, he was just mad because he was getting owned. Thank you for the $10. Then one last one here from JJ on PayPal. JJ, thank you for the $15 donation, who says, nice shirt today, bro. I unfortunately cannot watch today's stream, but I know you're kicking ass. Oh, thank you, JJ. Shout out to you, man. I know that you're also here very frequently. I appreciate you guys. If you're watching and you want to support me, support what we do here, and allow us to continue to do it for 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, or ask a question, you can find my Venmo, PayPal, link tree in the bio on TikTok, pin message on YouTube, and right there, Dean Withers without the E. Like I said, really good way to get a message across, to be read out on live, or to ask a question. And then we have one last one here. This literally just came in. Elevate Associates. Thank you so much for the Phoenix, dude. Elevate Associates has been going off on TikTok since we started this stream, showing the most love. Thank you so very much, Elevate. For everybody watching, please show some love to all of the donors that we just thanked on Super Chat, TikTok, Super Chat, Venmo, and PayPal, and show some massive, massive love to Elevate for the continued, like, crazy fucking love on TikTok. Thank you so much, you guys. Now, all right, let's go ahead and hop into the last argument I wanted to run on you. Would you still support Trump if he was guilty of sexual exploitation? Like, he'd sexually exploited naked women and then turned around and left about it.
Absolutely not.
Okay, do you accept that sexual exploitation is to unjustly take advantage of somebody sexually?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, can you also agree that an example of a person unjustly taking advantage of somebody else sexually would be a male owner of a business barging into the private women's restrooms at that business to then unconsensually peek his head over the stall to look at the private parts of the woman in the restroom and then attempting to justify it by saying, well, I'm the owner, it's my building, I can do what I want?
So depending on the situation, if he accidentally went into the women's restroom and like opened the stall unknowingly thinking she was in there, but if he did use that talking point of that it's the reason that he went in there and looked over the stalls because it's his building yes, that would be sexual assault or sexual, whatever the word is.
Elevate. Thank you so much for another TikTok universe. Holy fuck. What is going on today? While we hopefully change this guy's mind, show some love to Elevate. What is that? Like the second TikTok uni? Bro, I don't even know what to say. Thank you, Elevate. Dude. Oh my god. Show some love to Elevate on a very real note. Thank you. Fucking insane. That's fucking nuts. Wow. Okay. Back to the debate. W's to Elevate in the chat because that's insane. Now, you said if he did it accidentally, then it wouldn't be sexual exploitation. I do think that in most scenarios, sexual exploitation is going to have to include that intent. But it could also lack intent and then just be with neglect. You know, like if somebody like just barged into the woman's restroom because, like, for example, they were going to go clean the stalls, but they forgot to like ensure that nobody was inside of that space. I would still consider that to be like some level of like sexual wrongdoing. Or like some level of culpability for the neglect. But in this scenario, we are talking about doing it intentionally. So if a man owns a business and does it intentionally, we could agree it's sexual exploitation. True?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And you'd stop supporting Trump as president if he did this. Here's Donald Trump admitting to doing that. This is 2005, speaking to Howard Stern on his radio show.
It's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Wow. Now, is that an AI voice or it's real? I've never heard that, actually.
I'll show you where I'm pulling this from. This is posted on YouTube 9 years ago, so it actually can't possibly be AI.
Wow, that's actually insane. I've actually never heard that.
Like I said, man, I don't even think that you're like a super bad dude. You've just like clearly been misinformed by your family, and I think that maybe the places that you get the information that you believe are very far biased to the right. You know, like I feel like a very perfect example of the type of person that I want to tune into the live stream, that I want to join the panel. So, I mean, now that you've heard that clip, are you going to be a man of your word? Are you going to revoke your support from Trump?
Yes. No, I genuinely... Okay, listen. So I do hold traditional conservative values, but I also believe on a lot of the things that I've heard that Trump is moving drastically away from those. So, and obviously anybody left, right, you know, whatever you are, anybody who touches a child or looks at women, anything sexual deserves to be in prison, and depending on exactly what it is, the death penalty. So yeah, I mean, I really can't say that I'm a Trump supporter anymore, especially because I was pretty much not a Trump. I was really on the fence when he posted that most recently. It seemed like I was just waiting for the perfect thing to be able to say, I guess I'm not a Trump supporter anymore, just because of all the things that he's ended up doing.
Well, I'm really happy that you joined, and I'm really happy that we could change your mind, okay?
One more thing, my leftist friend would like to say one thing real quick. But bottom line, thank you for the debate.
Are they with you?
He's right beside me. Wait, 1 second. I would just like to say, Dean, I'm going to start tuning into your lives more, and I'm glad we can have this debate. You are the most educated person that I've ever debated, so I'm just going to like say thank you, and thank you for taking the time to rather educate me.
Well, yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for changing your mind. Yeah, to the leftist friend, feel free to say something real quick. I didn't even know you've been patiently waiting the whole time I was talking to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been watching on my MacBook. I mean, I'm glad you kind of switched to support, but I don't know what we're going to do with the account now.
Well, listen.
I don't think he's going to abandon his conservative ideology, so I'll still be able to debate him. But yeah, I'm glad he changed his mind.
He sounds like he's pretty open-minded, so I bet you'll be able to change his mind on the more conservative beliefs. But I appreciate you both. I hope you're able to change his mind further on his more conservative beliefs, and you guys take care, okay? I don't know where they went. Bye, guys.
My screen freezing.
Oh, the screen froze.
Bye. See ya.
All right. The screen froze. All right. Anyways, wow. That was really refreshing. That was so refreshing. I love that. That was good. Because, like, not only did we get that gratification of, like, changing a Trump supporter's mind, but then they're also, like, really good friends with a leftist who said that they're going to try to change their mind further with the conservative beliefs that they still hold. And we know that could actually possibly happen because that dude seemed more open-minded. That was really refreshing. I like that. That was one of the better conversations we've ever had on this live, with the most satisfying ending. Incredibly based. Welcome in, Sully. Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Sully, are you 14? Guys, you have to be 18 plus. You have to be an adult. We're looking to talk to adults. Follow the rules, please. Thank you. We're going to go to get that next guest loaded up into the box. Blue Girl, appreciate you for that galaxy. That is beyond kind of you. And this just came in on PayPal. Thank you, Cammy, for the $25 donation. Who says, I love it when you change minds. Very satisfying. Yes, Cammy, thank you. Thank you for the $25. I really appreciate you for the love and support and for the kind words. Let's get 250 W Cammy, C-A-M-M-I, down below in that chat. I'm very, very grateful for you. Also on PayPal, also Danny, thank you for the $10, who says, I love watching your streams. Thank you. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate you for tuning in. And then one more on Venmo from KKAE. Thank you for the $10, who says, yesterday a gentleman tried to say that you're too young to speak as you do. Wait, I already thanked you a while ago. Okay, so I guess thank you again. I appreciate you guys. All right, we're going to go to get that next guest loaded up into the box. Right now, we got Lucas connecting. Chat, how we doing today? Let me know how your day has been so far down below in that comment section. How's your weekend going? Do you guys have any plans? Let me know. Hi, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
No, I just want...
All right, appreciate you for coming up, dude. We are just looking for Trump supporters. If you guys want to know what the rules are to join the queue, take a look at that phone screen. Take a look at that phone screen. There was somebody in the queue that I wanted to have up, but I don't see him anymore. Hi, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
And how old are you?
19.
I think that those pitties are a little bit too big for your face there, brother. Okay, I guess you took that personally because you left. Damn. Moving on to the next guest right now. Only up inside of the queue if you happen to be MAGA. Holy shit. All right, let's go and move on to the next guest. Who do we got? Rebecca McCalls. Load it up into the box. Thank you for the $5 on Super Chat. Fruit, who says that's how every reasonable person should react to hearing that information. W Dean and W Caller. W Productive Discourse. Yeah, that was very productive. Very productive indeed. All right, we got the next guest loaded up into the box right now, but it doesn't look like they are connecting. All right. We got...
What?
Hello, do you support Trump?
Yeah.
How old are you?
25.
Okay, Rebecca, can you just quickly, like, don't leave the live, but could you just swipe in and out of the TikTok app real quick? There's, like, something, like, glitching on your account.
What do you mean?
It's just, like, a front-end glitch. Could you just swipe in and out of the TikTok app on your phone, hit the home button, then go back into the app?
Yeah, one sec.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Is that better?
Yes, it fixed the glitch. Thank you so much. All right, let me thank one person, then the mic and the floor will be yours. Caroline, thank you for the $20 donation on PayPal, who says, W for you. I'm very happy that you have these people among the Looney Toonies too. It's important to see that it's productive and effective. I know that last convo was a really good example of just how effective what we do here is. Thank you for the $20, Caroline. Let's get 200 W's for Caroline in that chat. And let's get another 250 W's for Daniel in that chat, who sent a $25 donation on PayPal. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel says, yes, W's for Dean. I bet my kids that this guest was going to go down a rabbit hole, but it caught me by surprise by changing his mind. I know when he first came up, he was just swinging all the talking points. I thought that he was going to be a bit of a pill as well, but he wasn't. Thank you. Rebecca, why the hell do you support the worst president of your life, Mr. Dipe Don?
I don't really got a reason. Same reason why he's doing things for us.
I'm just taking a moment to try to interpret what you just said. So I would take the statement to mean that you support Trump because of what he's doing for us. What is he doing for us?
Nothing.
Okay, so he's not doing anything for us. So then you shouldn't support him, Rebecca.
Why?
Because he's not doing anything for us.
That's not a good enough answer.
Okay, what about the fact that he's a rapist?
What about the fact that he's a sexist?
Yeah, that too.
I don't know. Isn't everybody who's in politics?
No.
I can't say that.
I do not think that every politician is a sexist rapist.
Trump is probably the worst, but who cares?
All right, I think that Rebecca's either trolling or just like really weird, like and not worth our time, because she's really weird. Let's go to get the next guest, Gloria, loaded up into the box right now. We got Gloria connecting. We got somebody else connecting. Who else we got? Welcome in. Do you support Trump? What's going on, Bobby and Chase? Do you support Trump?
One piece for life.
Okay, we got M for life, 2IAB connecting. Still trying to find the next Trump supporter, folks. I do apologize. Everybody just give it a moment. The Trump supporters are very clearly feeling quite disillusioned today. It's pretty hard to find them. Yo, on Super Chat, Release the Bats. Thank you for the $20. Thank you so much, Release the Bat. Let's get to it, Bats W's. Bats with the 20 says, I came here just to talk smack on the cat haters. I've noticed MAGA in the comments saying that only sensitive men own cats. I guarantee you that the same type of people who say that own dogs and neglect them love you, Dean. Well, I think it is true that only sensitive people own cats, people that are sensitive to consent, okay? Because you can't like own a cat and just do whatever they want to or they'll fuck you up, right? You have to be sensitive to consent. So when they say that, all that they're meaning to communicate is that they're not sensitive to consent and they can never own a cat because a cat would fuck them up with their claws. Welcome into Sport Trump.
Yeah, I do.
Lucas, how old are
you? I'm 20.
And you still support him, man. Embarrassing. How old are you? Well, you just told me 20. What time is it?
It is 3:23 p.m. in West Coast.
Really? What state?
Oregon, actually.
Oregon? Okay.
Portland area. It's outside of Salem.
Okay, and what time zone are you in?
That would be Los Angeles, right? Right, I'm pretty sure.
What's the name of the time zone?
I just know it's California.
But you don't know the name of the time zone?
No, I don't. Go Trump. No.
You know what? So I was just about to kick you for not knowing the name of PST because that's outrageous. You're probably trolling. But at the same time...
I'm not trolling.
At the same time, you're also a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And Trump supporters are dumb.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
So why do you support Trump?
Dude, he loves the Bible, dude.
This is a troll. Get out of here. Moving on to the next guest. Only up inside of the queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Donald J. Trump as president. Please and thank you. Do follow our rules. What are we doing?
Hello?
You're a weirdo. Hope you know that. Who are you?
I got a message from TikTok saying you paid $2,000 to get my account removed.
No, but can you drag me to where I could pay that money to get your account removed? I'll do it. Why are you so weird? Like, what's your goal? Like, you just post videos saying that I've literally died.
You are.
Because I'm dead?
Yeah.
You don't think that the fact that you're speaking to me right now is evidence that I'm not dead?
No.
Okay. Yeah, get a life, bud. MM, welcome in. I'm going to go ahead and send you a mic to turn your mic on. Send you a mic to turn your mic on. Blunder. Turn you an invite to turn your mic on.
Hi.
Hi, do you support Trump?
No.
Based, we are just looking for Trump supporters, so you take care.
Thank
We're going to
you.
get the next guest loaded up into the box. Fish Girl.
Yes, I love Donald Trump, and I would like to debate you.
Fish Girl.
I don't know.
Fuck off, quite frankly.
I don't know what that is. I'd like to debate you.
I don't know what that is, really.
I don't know what a fish girl is. Is
Yeah,
that
so
like
how would you feel if I told you I was happy your fish is dead? How'd that make you feel?
I don't really know what you're referring to.
What if I draw a picture of your fish on the map of Uzbekistan?
I don't know what you're. I live in the U.S. I'm not sure what you're referring to when you say Uzbekistan. But one reason I fully support Trump is
you're
due
getting
to the
creative
fact,
with this.
Creative with what? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Really?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Banned! Moving on to the next guest. Dude. Oh, man. Bro. Let me just tell this guy to get a life real quick, buddy. You sit on my queue all day, every day.
Don't just run away. How you doing, my friend? Be chill.
You need to get a life.
How you doing today?
You need to get a life.
All right, run away from me. Big W when you kick me, going live, buddy.
Like you did the last time you were on here to debate?
When you kick me, I'm going live to change your fans' minds, sir.
I know, you're up here to grift to get people to go to your live stream.
No,
like,
I want to
I know,
talk to you.
You are. No, I don't
You
think
know
you do,
me,
because
I'm
remember
in
the
here
last
for
time
good
you were in the
combo.
live stream,
Sure.
you like straight up like ran away because you couldn't answer the question I was asking?
Well, let me respond to that. You say, because you talked about me after I left, sir. And Dean, let's have a good convo here, my friend.
I will only talk to you. There's one condition that I'll speak to you under. And the one condition that I'll speak to you under is if we talk about the same thing that we were talking about maybe 2 days ago when you ran away from me. Because what I won't allow you to do is get caught on a subject, like then leave the live or get kicked because you were refusing to answer a question, then whine about it for like 3 days straight, and then attempt to like rejoin my live to talk about something totally different. The only condition that I will allow you to stay in my life under is, okay, either your acknowledgement that Donald Trump has sexually exploited beauty pageant contestants, or a coherent refutation to the evidence that Donald Trump has sexually exploited beauty pageant contestants. Your whole life is me. You come up here, you get cooked, you leave or you get kicked because you couldn't answer a question, you start your live stream, you claim you won, okay, and then you come back 4 days later to do the same thing with another subject. We're going to end this cycle because it's embarrassing for you. And
I completely
quite
agree.
frankly,
I completely agree, my friend. So listen.
For me. So
okay,
I'll only let you stay up if you talk about
here's
that
my
one
response
same specific
to that.
subject.
Here's my so we can talk about the pageants and how you lie about it and you neglect the fact that he said backstage. We can absolutely talk about that. But I need to clarify a few things. You did say something correct for the first time ever, Dean. You are absolutely right. When you run for me and kick me, I'm going live on the TikTok the moment you kick me.
That's what he's doing.
Here's another good thing for you to know. This is probably our last conversation ever, Dean. And I wish you luck and I pray for you. And I want you to know something. Between you and I know you don't care, but I forgive you for the terrible things you said about Charlie Kirk. Me personally.
Notice how I said Charlie Kirk's name at the same time you did because you're so fucking
I
predictable?
forgive you. Dean, between you and I love him like a brother now. I forgive you. I just want you to know that. I know you don't care, but I actually forgive you. I don't think it's right what you did and said, and it's on my YouTube, but I forgive you, and I forgive...
Rip the YouTube. Yeah, there you go.
I forgive...
He comes out here to like advertise the social media.
All right, so anyway,
he can't win a debate.
Last time I was up here, you said a lot of lies after I left. Your theory is, since taxpaying American doesn't answer a question, it's a direct concession to what you were saying, as if there's no reason in the world somebody might not answer a question from you. My response to that, Daniel, is I didn't answer the question for a few reasons. One big one is you have kicked me mid-sentence multiple times while I'm up here. So you get me to say, so you go, is the sky blue? And even though I want to argue, let's say hypothetically if the sky is blue, I go, the sky is blue, but, and I'm about to refute it, and you kicked me. So I didn't want to be kicked before I got to dismantle your lies like I always do. But if you want to talk about how you think Donald Trump sexually exploited women, we can. But your theory of when somebody doesn't answer a question is a direct concession, so I'm hitting you with right now, back up the claims as to why you hate Charlie Kirk so much with something. And if you don't, then you know you're lying and you have a displaced hatred for an innocent man that loved you, cared about you, and spoke nicely of you.
Okay, this is the TPA. This is the TPA playbook. Take a statement that I made, categorize that statement to change it into something that it wasn't, to then attempt to use that against me to pivot away from the topic of discourse. The statement that I made is that you conceded, okay, when you couldn't answer a question in which was relevant to the conversation.
They said backstage.
In which you could not
He's allowed to go backstage
of the question to the conversation. But then you condense that down into the sentiment that if somebody never answers a question, then it means they concede on the subject matter. So I'm not going to answer your question about Charlie Kirk. And my explanation for why I won't answer the question
that's what you said,
is because
though,
it's irrelevant to the topic of discourse.
That's what you said. You
You're
said if
attempting to
somebody doesn't
miscategorize
answer
what
a
I
question,
said.
well, you're not in control. Like I said, last
if somebody
convo,
refuses to answer a question which is relevant to the topic of discourse without being able to supply a reason insofar as why it is relevant, it is essentially the same as a concession. However, the difference between that sentiment and me refusing to answer the question which you're asking me is that it is irrelevant to the topic of discourse. I've told you that I will only keep you on my live if it is a continuation of the debate that you ran away from 2 days ago. The debate was not about Charlie Kirk. The debate was not about the feelings in your tum-tums, but rather the debate was about the following claim. And I will repeat that following claim now.
What was the
Donald Trump sexually... I will wait for you to stop.
Don't worry.
I'm going to wait for
I'm
you
asking
to
you a
stop
question.
because you're
Calm
interrupting
down.
me.
Calm down.
No, I'm going to wait for you to stop.
What was the...
We're going to wait for you to stop so I could finish my statement.
What was the girl's name?
I'm not done with my statement. What we're not going to do is ask questions in the middle of the other person's statement as an interruption.
That's how a combo works. Live. Going live.
He literally just can't do it, guys. He
right,
like
hey,
this is why he's afraid of me. In the middle of my statement, it's not going to happen, buddy.
Well,
you have to roll over on this one. You just have to roll
Kick
over.
Me, I'm going.
Like,
Run away.
This is the thing. This is the thing about TPA. He interjects himself into my debate live, and then he claims to be a debater, but then he will never actually debate me. Like, he just straight up won't let me finish my sentence.
Trying right now.
No, you're trying to not debate me right now because you were interjecting yourself into the middle of my statement.
I remember.
I'm just not going to let you interject yourself into the middle of my statement. Okay, you have exactly 15 seconds to completely roll over and stop attempting to interject yourself into the middle of my statement so I could finish my statement, or you're going to get kicked.
Going live.
He did it. Good boy. End of the statement.
Going live when you kick me, coward. 10-0.
You have. Okay, now you're back at 8 seconds. 1.
Run
2,
away.
3.
Didn't answer a question.
You're running away right now by interjecting yourself into the middle of my statement. You are running away. If you stop talking, we will have a debate. You cannot hold yourself back from shutting up
because you chokehold people to speak the way you want them to. I'm asking you a simple question.
Finish my statement.
What was the name? I remember the question. I want to answer about it.
I'm going to finish my statement. Is what I'm going to do.
You said everybody was fully clothed.
This guy just can't let me.
She said everybody was fully clothed in the dressing room.
I'm going to finish my statement. Oh my God!
Are you going to let me talk though?
I'm not going to let you talk because I was in the middle of my statement. You have 10 seconds to either shut up or get kicked. I will promise to let you talk when I'm done with my statement. There's no other way you're going to speak here. Yes.
Do you swear on your mom's life?
Duh.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. If you pull that shit again, you're going to get kicked. I'm letting you know that right fucking now, TPA. I am not here to talk to immature little boys. All right? And you are acting like an immature little boy. Quit the interruptions or get kicked to the fucking curb like the garbage you are. Now to finish my statement, because I only had a little bit left to share. I would like you to disprove the claim that Donald Trump sexually exploited beauty pageant contestants by barging into the private women-only dressing rooms to then look at their naked bodies, with the supporting evidence for that claim being Donald Trump's admission of guilt and corroboration of the victim's testimony. Go for it.
He said backstage, and the woman that you tried to bring up said that everybody was fully clothed. So there was no sexual exploitation if everybody was fully clothed. And the literal source you were using was the girl saying that all he did was come in and smile, wish them luck, and leave, and it wasn't bad.
Precisely. Thank you. So you're right. That was one of the sources that I gave you. A woman defending Trump, claiming that when he'd go walk in there, they'd have a heads up and they'd all be clothed. Now, why would I possibly mention Veronica Hughes? Well, it's because even Veronica Hughes, the woman who is defending Trump, said that he went into the dressing rooms. But now, how could I
how's that sexual exploitation?
If they're clothed, right? Right? If they're clothed?
How's it sexual exploitation, and why did none of them go to the police about it?
How is it? So your question is, how is it sexual
exploitation? And why do you support it modern day? Why do you support it right now with men in women's bathrooms?
So you're launching
and people like Nicole Suarez in a woman's prison that raped a 9-year-old boy. He's a male in a woman's prison, Dean. And you support what you're talking about right now. It's very silly that you're talking about a quote from the Howard Stern show, where if you watch the full episode of that show, you'll see something that you might not be able to believe, but women throwing themselves at Donald Trump on that episode. So for you to take that quote out of context, lie, because Donald Trump says backstage, which, by the way, on the same episode you had me on, you acted like under his breath he says dressing room because somebody said that to you and you listen to the clip, and he doesn't. He's clearly saying, and everyone's getting dressed. He doesn't say dressing room.
Okay. So to your
and
first
I'm going
question,
live when you kick me. And I'm 6'1", Santana's 6'3", just so you know, by the way. I want to clarify that.
I know that you're grifting about your life. All right, because that's what you want to do. You want to
you said you're a grifter.
The attention that I get. You want to take all the attention that I get from my life and try to divert it into yours because you're nobody with an unsuccessful failed career as a shitty political talking head.
How long have you been at it?
To respond to the points in which you made, the first claim that you made is that, well, how could it be sexual exploitation if they had clothes on? Okay, the basis for your claim would be Virginia Hughes saying that he would walk into the dress rooms, but they did have clothes on. Well, that's because I believe that in some scenarios he'd walk in there with no heads up when they didn't have clothes on, and other scenarios with a heads up when they did have clothes on. What's my supporting evidence for said claim? Well, Virginia said when it happened to her, she was dressed. But Donald Trump said that when he would do it, they were undressed and they didn't have clothes on. So what does this mean? In some scenarios, he would give them that heads up. They would get
play
dressed.
The clip of him saying
and
that?
Other
That's not true.
He would not give them a heads up, and they would have no clothes on.
You just lied. He didn't say that. He said getting dressed, which
and I'm
means
allowed
at a
to go in
pageant
because
when
I'm
you're
the
in a
owner of the
bikini.
pageant,
I'll
and
let
therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay?
Right there, we just heard him say he would walk in there and they'd be standing there with no clothes. What does this necessitate to be true? What it necessitates to be true is that in at least some
honest to God, I didn't hear that. Play that again. I honestly didn't hear that part. Play that again, please.
Like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is every?
He didn't finish the sentence. I'm a real one. I can see where you're trying to come from, but you got to be honest. He didn't say fully no clothes. He stopped there. You have to be genuine about that. But I'm a genuine enough. I could give you that part. But here's the response, my friend. If Donald Trump said this statement,
you're trying to control the conversation. Did you? So you made 4 points.
I'm trying to respond. Look at you interjecting. Hey, mute yourself.
TPA,
mute yourself. Because I'm trying to respond. You're
You made 4 points. I was in the middle of my first point of contention with the first point that you made. Then you interjected yourself by saying I was a liar when I said that in the clip he said they had no clothes on. Would you like me to continue to attempt to respond to the other 3 points that you made? Or do you want to just forego them? It's up to you.
Well, I want to respond. Here's the important part.
Okay, he wants to forego the other 3 points. Go ahead and respond.
The important part is we can all help Dean Withers here. We can say, even though I don't agree with this, we can go, okay, Trump said something bad. It doesn't mean he sexually exploited women. That's a lie. But you can go, he said something bad all those years ago. But present day, he doesn't support this. And you, young man, support it. You support men in the women's bathroom. The very thing that you're acting like you're all outraged. Whoa, Donald Trump said this. Let me exacerbate it. You support right now. Do you not support men in the women's bathrooms, Dean?
No, I don't. So clearly, you're trying to do what many people
you think trans women, no, you say no, you don't, because you think that a man that says he's a woman's a woman, correct?
Well, I don't think that trans women are women. Now, to respond to the point that you made about saying, well,
you switched your opinion. Good.
Again.
So you changed your mind. You don't believe that trans women are women anymore, correct?
No, I said I do believe that trans women are women.
Oh, now, you do. So that's where we disagree. Trans women, if trans women are women,
less than 10 seconds.
Prove to me, change my mind. If trans women are women, can you please elaborate on that? I'm trying to understand your claim here, because if trans women are women, why 2 words? If trans women are women, why were they men who then did stuff to try and appear as a woman? That doesn't make sense. It's still a man that's doing stuff to try and appear as a woman.
Right. So you're doing what we like to call a pivot. All right. I will happily tell you why I think trans women are women and why I don't think that trans women are sexually exploiting cis women when they use the women's restroom. However, because I believe in linear dialogue, that discourse must take place as soon as the conversation surrounding the claim that Donald Trump has sexually exploited people comes to its natural end. I would like to make it clear, anybody, trans or cis, who would meet the necessary criteria to to describe sexual exploitation would be guilty of sexual exploitation. Now, the topic of discourse, okay, the point was that Donald Trump meets all necessary criteria for the definition of the phrase sexual exploitation by admitted to barging into the dressing rooms of the naked beauty pageant contestants backstage at Miss USA and so on. Now, you want to reshift this conversation into a debate about, well, is it also sexual exploitation for trans women to use a women's restroom? No, I don't believe that it's sexual exploitation. I actually think that it's safer for everybody inside of the women's restroom for trans women to use
the same thing you're
space.
Claiming Trump
the
did.
reason in which I'd argue that that is the case is absolutely irrelevant to the reasons
Only
in which
Trump's
we can
legally
describe
allowed to go
insofar as why
backstage.
Donald Trump sexually exploited beauty pageant contestants. So, like I said, I'll happily have a debate with you about why it's a good thing for trans women to use the women's restroom and why that does not fulfill the criteria of sexual exploitation. But regardless if trans women using the women's restroom fulfills or does not fulfill the necessary criteria to define sexual exploitation, Donald Trump did fulfill the criteria necessary to define sexual exploitation by abusing his position of power to barge into the private women's only dressing rooms, okay, at the beauty pageants in which he owned, to then unconsensually look at the unclothed bodies of the beauty pageant contestants. And once again, because I believe in linear dialogue, it is important for us to go 1 point at a time. So
where are the dressing rooms located?
Do you have with the point that Donald Trump sexually exploited the beauty pageant contestants at the beauty pageants at which he owned?
Well, you are misrepresenting what I was saying. It's hypocritical for you to act like you care about this as you support men that have a mental disease that want to say they're women and make women uncomfortable and take advantage of this.
He's losing the debate, so therefore he's talking about trans women.
This is how a conversation. Dude, when you kick me, I'm going live, and I hope you come to my live. Dean, I hope you sometime down the road be brave. You can bring Parker and Santana.
I hope you sometime down the road be brave and actually debate me about the point. Okay? Because when you say that trans women are mentally ill in response to me describing how Donald Trump sexually exploited people, you're then attempting to bait me into describing to you why it's not true that trans women are mentally ill. You know, like,
don't donate to me.
If I was,
don't donate to me.
Donate
at my live.
If I was to like bite the hook on the claim that you just made, trans women are mentally ill, and then I start debunking that claim by pointing out the fact that there's not a single reputable institution or medicine or science in which would agree with that claim, okay, and that I was to list off 17 that expressly disavow that claim, well, then all of a sudden we're no longer debating about the claim that Donald Trump sexually exploited people at the beauty pageants in which he owned. I could tell that you are scared. Because instead of actually
intimidating.
reducing the substance to support the conclusion that Donald Trump sexually exploited people, you are attempting to silently and covertly run away by reframing the debate from the claim that Donald Trump sexually exploited people to the new claim that Donald Trump, that Dean Withers is a hypocrite because he condemns Donald Trump for sexually exploiting people, but then does not condemn trans women who are mentally ill for sexually exploiting people, because that would then necessitate that A, I describe to you how trans women are women, B, I justify the claim that it's actually a good thing for trans women to use a women's restroom, and then C, I refute the claim that trans women are mentally ill. But if I were to do all three of those things, describe to you how trans women are women, say why they should be able to use a women's restroom, and describe to you why they're not mentally ill, now we're no longer debating the substance to support the conclusion that Donald Trump sexually exploited beauty pageants. So once again, for the very last time, TPA, because this is a linear dialogue where we go point by point before we talk about the claim that trans women are mentally ill, which is false.
I know, I'm trying to get there. You keep cutting me off and
describe to you why trans women
me.
should be able to use a women's restroom.
I keep trying to get
or
there.
I tell you what a woman is and describe to you how trans women are women to ultimately refute the claim that I'm hypocritical.
Matters
we first need to debate the substance that Donald Trump sexually exploited people. So quite frankly, TPA, I'm going to make it clear. The only time that you are allowed to bring up trans women is once we are done adjudicating the claim that Donald Trump assists men.
Quite frankly, you're not in charge of me. Run away. Going live when you kick me.
Logic is in charge of you because
donate
it's
to
not
me in my live, not
this.
here. He
It
gets
is
a cut.
the reasonable inference rules of logic and proper linear
He's allowed to
dialogue
go
in which is dictating this.
backstage. He's allowed to go backstage. No allegations of sexual misconduct arose from this quote. So if you had any sort of legal pursuance from these girls, then maybe you would have some validity to your lies, young man. But me bringing up the trans people is directly correlated to what we're talking about, because you're mad and in a tizzy about a man going into a woman's space, but simultaneously support men going in women's spaces, Dean. It's not complicated.
Okay. So I've already described
Come to my live sometime for a real convo when you're brave enough. That goes to Parker and Racist Santana as well. But I forgive them both as well.
Live. Dude, he's up here to ignore the topic of discourse by bringing.
I just directly answered. I just answered. I said that there was no allegations of sexual. First off, you're over here typing away on your computer because I'm cooking you that you need to look up things, and you laugh at people when they Google things against you.
I'm writing down what you're saying.
Okay, but there's other times in other debates. Okay, that may be true.
You're fucking wrong.
But there's
Thank you.
Well, right here, but there's other times in other debates. Like when I taught you about E. Jean Carroll and I was your sensei, you looked up things you didn't know. And guess what? You're allowed to do that, young man, because it shouldn't be a fight like this. But when you're in the position where you have the power to mute people, you run rampant with the power, young man. And I think I know a lot of the reasons why. But my point is, Donald Trump's allowed to go backstage, okay? What I want from you is to give me something concrete that backs up he sexually exploited these women. Were there any police reports done?
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing a bunch. I'm going to start speaking, and I expect you to interrupt me because that's your favorite thing in the world to do. And then you complain about me muting you as if you're not the reason why you're muted because you can't control yourself. But anyways, so once again, you're rejecting the notion that it was sexual exploitation by affirming that Donald Trump was allowed to go backstage. We know that this was not a general backstage area, but rather more specifically the private women's only dressing rooms, because that's what Donald Trump described when he said he went into a space in which he had to abuse his position of power to get into under the front of a lie, i.e. doing a fake inspection. If it was a general backstage area, he wouldn't claim that the only reason he's allowed to go in is because he's the owner under the guise of a fake inspection. He would just be able to walk in and out. He also said that there's no men anywhere. If it was a general backstage area, then why would he say that there's no men anywhere? We'd actually expect some men to be back there, regardless if they're working as an assistant for one of the judges, one of, just an assistant for the company that was setting up like the backstage cameras, lighting, so on and so forth. We wouldn't expect no men to be anywhere. Point number 3, we know that he was described in a dressing room because at the end of the clip, he said he'd get away with this. Getting away with something means to break a rule and face no consequences. He wouldn't be breaking a rule and facing no consequences if it was a general backstage area because he wouldn't be breaking a rule. Point number 4, okay, there's moral code of conduct for beauty pageants that do not allow, okay, beauty pageant contestants to en masse get naked in a general backstage area where men could be. Why? Well, we see that a lot of these events that center, the male gaze around women, uphold the notion that these women are like very pure. This is the same reason why we see women pop stars getting chastised by their management for getting inside of a relationship because all of a sudden that defeats the notion that they're pure. Very similarly, a lot of beauty pageants will uphold moral code of conduct of like not getting naked in a general backstage area because it would hurt that image of purity. But above and beyond that, not only do we know that it wasn't a general backstage area because of all the things that Donald Trump described, but also because of all of the women that could recount this experience described. Okay, every single woman who respond to requests for interviews saying that they remember that what Donald Trump had admitted to on Howard Stern's radio show said that it happened in the dressing rooms. Even the women that defend him, like Veronica Hughes, who responded to a request for an interview saying, yeah, I remember Donald Trump walking into the dressing rooms, but Donald Trump meant no wrong. He didn't do anything wrong because he sent his assistants in ahead of time to make sure that we were all decent. If you accept Veronica Hughes' testimony, then you are accepting that this did not occur in a general backstage area, but rather occurred in a private women's only dressing room. Now, I threw a lot of information at you, and I know that you like to wiggle your way out of the corners that I put you in. So
I wrote them all down.
That I want you to respond.
I'm ready.
Is the fact that we know that it was a private women's only dressing room.
No, you don't choose how to respond. I wrote down what you said. I want to respond to them all. Let me respond.
The two things that I said is that we know that it was a general...
No, you said more than two things.
We know that it was a private women's only dressing room because the specific things that Donald Trump said in the clip when talking to Howard Stern, as well as the fact that every woman who responded to a request for an interview, remembering what Donald Trump had admitted to Howard Stern, said that it happened in a dressing room, even the women that inevitably defended him. Those are my 2 points. Go ahead.
Okay, so first off, the quote refers to the adult pageant, not the teen pageant. Dean's lying and conflating it to mean the teen pageant. When he says the women that remember him coming in a dressing room, he's referring to teen pageants. So right there, it's already a different universe than what we're talking about here. He's completely lied to get into the situation, but I can still refute it. He also neglects and omits the information of, out of the 15 they got a hold of, 11 said they don't remember it happening and it would have been impossible to miss. That leaves you with 4 people, 2 calling it creepy, 1 saying it was entitled, and then the one that you keep talking about, actually no, she came out later, and then another one that said it wasn't creepy. The one you keep talking about, the reason it disproves you is you act like there was sexual misconduct, even though she says that didn't happen. So you're literally using a source that stops you. Another point you said is he's breaking a rule, therefore he got away with something. No, I'll give the 13,000 viewers a real life example here. And again, when he kicks me, I'm going live. That's not grifting. I'm just trying to do what Charlie was doing. Don't donate to me. Donate in my own live. Don't donate now. He gets a cut. Now,
I know,
not in it for the money, but that's
too.
important.
He's
now,
grifter.
Daniel, you admit it, you're a grifter. You talked to me one time and said,
I'm the biggest grifter.
Well, that's why I forgive you, is I don't believe you believe this stuff. I now know you're in it for the money. By the way, you said all MAGA are dumb. Are you referring to your parents when you said that? Now,
so true.
He said he's breaking a rule and got away with, so you think your parents are dumb?
On God.
You do. Wow, that's messed up. I like your parents, though, and I like you. I forgive you, like I said. So here's how him saying, I got away with that, isn't him inferring breaking a rule. Watch this. 1, he's legally allowed to go backstage where the dressing rooms are as well. Backstage. Legally, he's allowed to do that. Here's the example, Dean. Dean, if you work in maintenance at a gym and you need to go in the women's locker room to fix a light bulb, and you put up a sign that says there's a male worker inside the women's locker room, and that male worker goes in there legally to fix the light bulb, and a woman walks up and reads that sign and she chooses to go in there and she gets changed right in front of the male worker, and he comes out and says, Dean, I saw a beautiful girl while I was working in there and I got away with that. He didn't break a rule. He got away with seeing a beautiful woman while following the law and doing what he needed to do because she consented to it happening, just like pageant contestants. And Dean, I know you can't do it, but reset, my guy. It doesn't have to be like this. Charlie did not need to be assassinated. Chill. Just chill, brother.
He's just losing.
The contestants, no, you're freaking out all the time. And you brought it to this level by muting me so much. The contestants agreed to that possibly happening when they signed up for the pageant. You might not like it, but he's legally allowed to go backstage. That's another point. I said to you, no allegations of physical contact or coercion arose from this specific quote. And you did not refute that. You sidestepped that. So that's a W for me. She said they were dressed in the dressing room when they went in there. So that refutes you. And then you claimed that you said this in one of your rants. You said, yeah, but I just think that he did it other times when they weren't dressed. Okay, back that up, Dean. Back that up when he just did that to somebody else.
Okay. Right here.
With some sort of
I'm
proof.
inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no. Is everybody okay? And you.
Yeah, there's me backing it up. Listen, I think that you want to overcomplicate this debate because that's the only way you could maybe make it look like you're winning, if that makes any sense, is to just introduce a lot.
I don't care about winning.
Into the water.
I want the truth and I want unity.
I didn't interrupt you. It's the only way that
That's
you
all I
could
was saying.
introduce
Go
mud
ahead.
it's the only way that you could introduce mud into the water. Okay? Right? Like this debate is not as complicated as a 3-minute rant looking at this woman and that woman and this girl then that then what he said and the way he said it. Did he cut himself off? Is this what he meant? Is there any evidence? In a nutshell, it's very simple. Donald Trump said that he would go into a place where no men were, that he had to abuse his position of power as the owner under the guise of doing a fake inspection to get into. And then inside of that space, he'd see naked women. And the extra level of confidence on top of what he said and how the only reasonable possible thing he could be describing there would be a private woman's only dressing room backstage is a fact that every woman who remembered this says it happened in the dressing rooms, even the women who defended him.
Question about
if there was
women.
If there was any level of credence to the claim that this only occurred in a general backstage area, then you would have an explanation for him saying the reason why he was allowed to do this is because he was the owner doing a fake inspection. But you don't. Then you would have an explanation for him saying that there's no men around. But you don't. Then you have an explanation for the fact that they were all changing, with some of them having no clothes on and being naked, but you don't. And you'd also probably at least have one person that remembered this happening in a general backstage area. But you don't. Because every single person who remembered that this happened said it happened in the dressing rooms.
Now, how many of them said that chaperones weren't present?
How many of who said that chaperones were present?
The ones that you're saying that he came in the dressing room. From like the 4 that you have, young man, how many said chaperones weren't present?
Okay,
From the 4 that you're using. Because keep in mind, you're talking about 4 girls. Hold on, let me respond. Let me respond. You talked a lot. Out of all of the years of the pageants and stuff like that, you're coming up with 4 girls to be working with, one of which who claims it's not creepy. For 2 of them. So her interview, I keep forgetting the girl's name.
What is your evidence that only 4 people had a story to tell?
Well, that's what you're talking about right now. How many you got?
Justify that.
Okay, from the BuzzFeed article.
Okay, you're saying that the BuzzFeed article only says 4 people?
In the BuzzFeed article, it claims only out of the 15 of the 51 contestants that they got a hold of, 11 did not recall it happening, said it would have been impossible to miss. 2 said it was creepy. 1 said it was entitled not creepy. The other one said it wasn't creepy. And then this other girl, Hughes, came out after that article to say
5.
that it was.
So we're already at 5.
Hold on. Let me respond.
But then we're already at 5.
Either way, my question's about your claim.
Then we have to consider Tasha Dixon.
I'm dissecting your claim. I'm asking you something.
But then we have to consider Tasha Dixon.
You're cutting me off. You're cutting me off. I'm asking you something.
Can we just agree that because we were just able to identify more than 4 people?
Hold on. I'm trying to understand something. From the guy, from the gentleman, aka you, from the gentleman who. Listen, I'm trying to understand something.
Agree? Can you just agree that because you and me
let me say my point. You muted me. I let you talk.
I let you
talk, young man. Hold on.
Okay.
This is what I'm trying to say. From you, the person who present day supports men and women's bathrooms because you think trans women are men
he's getting
for whatever
bad,
weird
so he's
reason,
to talk
and you
about
can't back it up because per your logic, if you don't answer a question,
he's pivoting to trans people.
You didn't back it up. No, this is pertinent because we're talking about a man in a woman's only space,
Listen,
buddy.
Can you just
now,
agree that you were wrong when you said only 4 people came forward?
You can talk in a moment to answer the question. You said that you have 5 people that said he was in the dressing room. From those 5, how many said that the chaperones were not present?
Well, it's like, yeah, sure. Before I answer that question, can you concede that you were wrong when you said only 4 people said they remember this?
Sure. So 5 people remember it. From the 5 that we're talking about, how many said chaperones were not present?
Sure. Before I answer that question, can you concede that you were wrong when you just said 5 people remember it?
Okay, I'll answer that question after you back up why trans women are women.
I just want to clarify.
But
you're already wrong.
Your Honor, I don't answer.
But you're wrong about the claim that you're making right now.
We're going to deport the questions starting now. We're going live when you kick me. We are 10-0 against you.
You're getting dog walked.
Not true at all. You're avoiding my question.
So you originally claimed.
You're avoiding my question.
You originally claimed that only 4 people had a story to tell, and then we added on Veronica Hughes on top of that 4, so now it's 5. So then you started claiming that there's only 5 people with a story to tell, but you're forgetting about Tasha Dixon on CBS, so now it's 6. So what I need you to do is I need you to stop
however many
claiming,
there are. No, I'm at.
I need you to stop claiming a set amount of people that had a story to tell because you went from 4 to 5, and now you're at 6. Okay,
this is you pivoting.
For the continuation,
this is you pivoting right
I'm not
now.
pivoting because I'm directly
your ankles
responding
are
to what
sore.
you said.
You're running from the point of the combo.
I'm not pivoting because I direct.
Listen, your source.
I will finish this up with a question about the chaperones. Yes. I will finish this up with a question about the chaperones.
Answer.
Don't worry, I am. Before I respond to your question about the chaperones, it just needs to be clear that you have no clue what you're talking about because you went from claiming that only 4 people said that they
remember this. Not true at all. As you're up here shouting and muting and not letting me talk, right?
You're interrupting me. I'm telling you that I will answer your question about the chaperones. You just have to let me finish speaking. Before I answer your question about the chaperones, the first thing that you need to understand is that you don't know what you're talking about. Because you went from claiming that only 4 people...
You don't know what you're talking about because you can't back up.
If you continue to interrupt me, then I will never get around to answering your question about the chaperones. That's just
you're saying stuff that's not...
So now you're going to go back on mute, and then I'm going to... This guy's crashing out. This is why, TPA, you only get 25 viewers. Because you can't debate, you're unintelligent, and every time somebody gets you like to interrupt them and attempt to paint them as a villain and claim victory baselessly. It's embarrassing for you. Now stop stalling. You are stalling by preventing me from answering your question by interrupting me when I'm in the middle of my response. So the first thing I'm going to say here, because you don't dictate the answer in which I respond to the things in which you denote, would first of all be the fact that you originally claimed that only 4 people had a story to tell. But then you changed that number to 5 and acknowledged that you're wrong when you said 4 because I mentioned Veronica Hughes. And then you said only 5 people have a story to tell. But then you changed that to 6 and acknowledged that you were wrong when you said 5 because I brought up Tasha Dixon. The point of me saying what I am is just simply to communicate to you that you don't genuinely know what you're speaking on. You're a pseudo-intellectual who reads headlines to attempt to disparage real victims, real survivors of sexual violence, and it's disgusting. Now to answer your question about the chaperones. I have no clue about chaperones being there or not being there. I know they wouldn't be there for Miss USA because why would adults have chaperones? And for the chaperones that were or were not there at Miss Teen USA, which, by the way, I've not mentioned once in this conversation, would be completely irrelevant because ultimately, even if there were chaperones in that teenage dressing room and the chaperones completely allowed, permissed, and emboldened Donald Trump's actions, if he went into their private dressing room and looked at their naked bodies, then he sexually exploited them because kids, minors, can't consent regardless of what a parent says or regardless of what a chaperone says. Now, my last point. Once again, you are trying to make this conversation way more complicated than it needs to be. The only evidence that we need to know that he's guilty of sexual exploitation is what he said. He said he'd go into a space where no men were around. He got away with it. He had to abuse his position of power and tell a lie in order to get in there. And inside of that space, there were women with no clothes on who were changing. That's a private women's only dressing room, not a backstage area. If it was a backstage area, why would he need to abuse the fact that he's the owner of the pageant? Why would he need to tell a lie that he was doing an inspection in order to get in? And then, on top of that, why would there be no men around? All right? And then, once again, the nail in the coffin here is there's not one person from any of the beauty pageants that he ever owned that claims they would get dressed and naked in the general backstage area and then Donald Trump would walk in on them. Every single woman and girl who had a story to tell, including those that defended him, said that it happened in the private women's only dressing room. At this point, the mic and the floor are yours, but for everybody watching, I expect this motherfucker to take the very simplistic reduction that I just gave of the very simple evidence and twist it into a million different ways. He's going to try to find as many things to say, off topic or on, mentioning trans people, mentioning the chaperones, because he does not want to address the legitimate meat on the bone. Go ahead.
Okay, so again, I forgive you for the swears and the name calling there, as I've forgiven you for all the terrible stuff you said and done about Charlie Kirk. So you said you didn't know anything about the chaperones. So using your own logic, you don't know what you're talking about. You know nothing about the chaperones, okay? Quite a few of them said chaperones were present. You knew nothing about the chaperones. You're trying to take something and completely spin it into a different galaxy of what is actually going on. I have a question for you real quick before I continue. What were the ages? Yes.
None of that responded to anything that I said.
When I said no allegations of physical contact or coercion arose from this quote, you didn't respond to that. You have yet to respond to that.
I'll respond to that right now.
I'm asking you again.
Listen,
but no, I have a direct question. I have a different question.
I wouldn't expect allegations of physical contact to arise out of a form of sexual exploitation that did not involve physical contact. As far as I know, I don't have any evidence that he touched them in the dressing room, but I'm not arguing it was sexual exploitation because he touched them in the dressing room. I'm arguing that it was sexual exploitation because he unconsensually looked at them in the dressing room. Look at that. I'm directly responding to what you said.
But if they knew he was coming in, then they consented because the chaperones told them he was coming in. So if they weren't comfortable, they could have walked out because they knew he was coming in. But you can't talk about this using your own... Can I talk?
Could we agree that only minors would have chaperones?
Can I talk? Well, that's my next question. What were the ages? Well, I'm trying to ask you a question. I'm trying to talk now. I let you talk. Thank you. You might hate me. I don't hate you. I don't. I pray for you. I like you, Dean. Well, I don't hate you. I'll say that. I don't hate you. And I appreciate you in some ways. And I view you more of a human these days. But listen, my friend, my question to you is, what are the ages for the teen pageant? And then I want to say more, but I'm just asking, what are the ages for the teen pageant?
Okay. The ages for the teen pageant would have been 14 through 18 or 19. I think that the cutoff was 18. Now, the thing... Now,
my reason of asking that
No, I'm still speaking. You said that... No,
it's my turn to talk. I asked you a question and said I was going to say more.
Only the minors would have a chaperone because only a minor would need a chaperone. That's who chaperones are for. Now, the thing is, you said, well, if their chaperone let them know in advance and they still continue to be naked, then it was with consent. It is important
they weren't naked. Nobody said they were naked.
You said that they were naked.
Nobody said they were naked.
You said if they didn't put clothes on, then they consented.
I never said that. And then if I did, I misspoke. They never said they were naked, and that is my stance. Not at all. And I like you, Dean. Well, I don't... Can I talk down? If I said that, I completely take that back. Then they because of all the muting and shouting, told them he was coming in. So if they weren't comfortable,
the dressing room, but I'm not arguing it was sexual exploitation because he touched them in the dressing room. I'm arguing that it was sexual exploitation because he unconsensually looked at them in the dressing room. Look at that. I'm directly responding to what
But
you
if
said.
they knew
That's
he
what a
was
real debater
coming
looks
in,
like.
then they consented because the chaperones told them he was coming in.
Nothing about
so if they
being
weren't
naked.
comfortable, they
Why
could
are
have
you
walked
lying?
out
Now
because
I'm-
they knew he was coming in. But you, nothing about being naked. Parker or Racist Santana, stop muting me. It's my turn to talk. Let me talk.
This was in reference to what Donald Trump said about how he barged into the space
At
and they
no
wouldn't have
point,
clothes on.
I didn't. You just lied in real time. I did not say
Then you were
they
talking about
naked.
something that Donald Trump didn't say, and then you're not accounting
He
for
never
everything that
said
Donald
they
Trump said
were
in the
naked.
statement. The evaluation that we're looking at
muting
here
me.
would be an evaluation of what Donald Trump said on Howard Stern when he said that they would be standing there with no clothes on and they looked incredible.
He never said they were naked. I never said they were
said that
naked.
they have no clothes
if
on.
at any point, let me talk.
When you have no
I just
clothes
let
on, are you
talk.
naked?
Is it that, well, if you're in a bikini and you're putting a robe on, you're getting dressed, are you not?
When you're in a bikini,
so if you're in a
putting
bikini
clothes
at a
on,
pageant show, Dean, I'm not going to do
When you're in a bikini
this.
and you put a robe on, you are getting dressed. But when you're in a bikini and you're putting a robe on, you don't have no clothes on.
Let me talk. Let me talk.
Having no clothes
Let me
on
talk.
is a synonym for being in the
Let me
nude.
talk.
And being in
It's
the nude is a
embarrassing.
synonym
Let me
for
talk.
being naked. Having no clothes
Let me
on
talk.
equals being naked.
Let me talk.
Sure, go ahead.
So, first off, the amount of times I have defended you. Last time I talked to you, it's not a
Mud in the
pivot.
waters.
Listen, this is important because
Not responding to me on the
this
argument
is so
because he's
important.
scared.
Dean, hold on. No, you have been running from all my points. Listen,
Mud in the
last time I was
waters,
up
not
here,
responding to the
you
argument
asked
because he's
me-
scared.
Dean, you asked me. You said, "Can I defend you against all the people in the chat that were calling
Mud
you
in
a
the waters,
pedophile?"
not responding to the
Dean,
argument because he's
Dean,
scared.
listen, it's important. Well, you just tried to lie, and it was proven you. Let me talk. You
Mud
said,
in the waters
"Can you?"
because he's not responding
Can
to the
you?
argument because he's scared. Holy.
Dean,
Holy
you said
shit.
last time I was up
Real.
here, people were spamming, calling you a pedophile, and you said, "Can I tell them to stop? That's wrong." And know what I said? I said, "Yeah, Dean, that's wrong." Do you remember that moment? Yes or no?
Mud in the waters, he can't respond to the argument. Either respond to the
yes or
argument or
no?
get booted.
We'll
no,
get
I'm not,
there.
I'm not
Run
responding.
away. Go on live
I'm
and you
not-
kick me.
Yes, I'm
You're
the
not-
one running because I'm the one asking you to respond to the
Well,
argument.
it's
You're
important for me.
embarrassing.
I'm trying to prove a point.
No. Listen,
As you just tried to lie. You just tried to lie about me. You
I
just
did not
tried
try
to
to
say
lie
that
because you said that if they didn't leave the dressing room, that it was with consent. But Donald Trump says they had no clothes on, which means that you think that minors can consent to being viewed by older men with
You
no
lose
clothes
when you
on.
mute.
And you
So
lose when you make a
embarrassing.
false claim, like the fact that I lied. I did
Well,
not
he
lie
never said they
because
were
you
naked,
said
Dean.
if the
Dean, he never said they were naked.
What do you think it means to have no clothes on? To have no clothes on, to have
Do
no
you
clothes
think-
on means to be naked.
Do you think you're going to let me talk, or are you going to
Do you
keep
think that
crashing
you're going to
out?
respond to the fact that when you have no clothes on, you're naked?
Do you think you're going to let me talk or no? What are we
Do you
what are we
think that
doing
you're going to
here?
respond to the fact that when you
So
have no clothes on,
play
you're
me
naked?
Play me the part where they said he was naked. They were naked.
Sure, when he says that they have no clothes on.
Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes.
There you go.
Okay, you cut it off. He never said close. He didn't finish the word. You cut it off. Is there more to the clip? Because he didn't finish the sentence. Mister that supports men in the women's bathrooms right now, you sicko. Now,
Okay.
last
So
time
this
I
is
was...
how I know that you're being disingenuous as fuck. The reason why I know that you're being disingenuous as fuck is because he cut himself off midway through saying the word close to take a breath in and to laugh because everybody else in the room started laughing with him. But we know that that word was close because the first half of that word was clo. There's no other second syllable of that word in which you nor anybody could think of that's watching the live stream to finish Donald Trump's sentence other than close that would be relevant to the context. Here's the challenge that I want to give you. You are going to run away from this challenge because
You're running
you will
this
not
whole
be
time
able
'cause you're not letting me talk.
because you will
Remember
not be
when-
able to successfully complete the challenge. Here's the challenge. Finish
Remember when-
the word that starts with the word
Remember when I was gonna-
clo that is a relevant description of the state of the women in the dressing rooms that Donald Trump saw. But make sure that the word's not clothes.
No,
What is
I
the
want to
other
respond to
second half
6
of that
other
word?
things you said. You got to let me
He
talk.
can't do it. He can't
so
do it.
the funny thing that the difference between you and I, Dean, is when those people were calling you a pedophile and I said, leave him alone, don't do that. Guess what? They typed it wrong. They were trying to say that about me. So I ask you, when they were spamming that right now and they were spamming it last time about me and I defended you, can you tell the chat not to spam that?
Not to spam and call you a pedophile?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a much better word would be a pedophile defender instead of like a pedophile. For sure.
Well, I think you're a pedophile defender because you support men in the women's bathrooms, Kamala Harris
There it
that
goes.
addicts
There's
to
a pivot.
pedophiles and
There's a
rapists
pivot.
coming
He's
in
talking
here to
about Kamala
harm women
Harris.
and children through the
Listen,
border.
stay on topic with the debate. I want you to finish
And
Donald
addicts
Trump's
to-
word. When he said they have no
And-
clo, what was the second
gotta let
half
me
of that
respond.
word that would fit relevant to the context of Donald Trump's clip other than the continuation of the word close? What
I
would
will
the second
leave
half of that
if
word
you
be?
keep muting. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go
I know,
live.
because you're not going to be able to
You
answer
come
the
to my
question.
live and have a debate.
You're not going to be able to
gonna
tell
let
me what the
talk.
second half of that word is.
I'm
Yes,
leaving.
I am
I'm
going to cut you
live.
off and I'm going to mute
I'm
you
going
when you
live.
start
Come to
talking
my
about
live
Kamala Harris.
Now I'm leaving. Come have a real
He's leaving. He's running away. He's running away. He's a coward.
You're a little boy.
He's a coward. He's running.
Princess Parker.
Don't run, buddy.
Delicate Dean and Princess Parker.
Don't run, buddy.
And Racist Santana.
I know
you guys
you're gonna run. He's gonna run, guys. He's gonna run, everybody. He's gonna run because I won.
Me because I actually know the truth,
no,
unlike you.
You
but
fear me
unlike
because
you,
you're
I'm
about
not
to
gonna
run.
mute you if you come to my live.
You
I'm gonna allow you
because
to
you're about to
speak,
run.
Okay? No. And after you said terrible things about Charlie Kirk, and I'm trying to be nice to you, it's impeccable.
I'm muting you because I'm asking you to stop talking about Charlie Kirk and Kamala Harris in a response to a question to finish Donald Trump's word in this statement about sexual exploitation. The reason why I'm muting you when talking about Charlie Kirk and Kamala Harris is because it is off topic and completely irrelevant. It is a distraction that you are attempting to usher into the conversation in an attempt, to muddy the water. And there he goes. He's gone. He's fucking gone, everybody. Listen. All right, there you go. There's a last TPA win. He said that he's never coming back up again. I'm happy that we could end it on such a total destruction where he's saying, I'm going to leave the live. I'm going to leave the live. And Dean, you fear me. Dean, you fear me. As I'm just simply asking him to answer the one relevant question to what Donald Trump said in this audio clip of him admitting to sexual exploitation. But instead of asking the one relevant question, he instead tries to talk about trans people, Charlie Kirk, and Kamala Harris. And then when I call him out for talking about trans people, Charlie Kirk, and Kamala Harris, in response to me asking him to clarify on what he thought Donald Trump meant to say when he started the word by saying "clo," he says, I'm going to leave and you fear me. Listen, buddy, big coat, big projection. All right. And thank you for the free win. All right, moving on to the next guest. Only hop inside of the queue if you happen to be an American adult that supports Trump. Appreciate you for another win. He said that's going to be the last time he ever joins, so that's good. Happy we could end it on a high note. Hi, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Perfect. How old are you?
I'm 20.
All right. What year are you born in?
2006, dude.
All right. Yeah, appreciate you for being here. I'm going to go to thank a couple people, and then I'll pass that mic off to you. Let's see here. Alex, thank you for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate you so much for the love, Alex. Alex with the $20 says, I called that color would run. It was really obvious when he started realizing that this wasn't going to go his way and it wasn't worth it for him to stay anymore. The tone of his voice changed and he stopped giving as much energy. Yeah, that's how it literally always goes with him. He comes up here, gets cooked, and then he runs. And by the way, it's still so crazy because he somehow has people defending him in the comment section. Guys, he started talking about Charlie Kirk, Kamala Harris, and trans people in response to a question about what Donald Trump said in an interview in 2005. And then when that wasn't going his way, because I wouldn't let him talk about Charlie Kirk, Kamala Harris, and trans people in response to a question about a Trump interview from the early 2000s, he left because he wasn't getting his way, right? Continue to cope and seethe. I don't know what to tell y'all. As well as Yami, that is YOMI. Thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat as well. Thank you so much, Yami. Yami with a $20 says, Dean, thank you for what you do. I'm a Japanese immigrant and people like this make people like me feel super unsafe to even leave our houses. My skin crawls when I hear his voice. I'm so sorry to hear that. That guy did suck. And thank you for the $20. Then Ego, thank you for the $10 as well, who says, you know, I thought that I hated TPA, but I thought about it more and I realized that he makes me feel intelligent, but he's annoying as fuck. Yeah, I know. Maybe the one thing that you could like about him is it probably, could make everybody feel a little bit more intelligent just because of how low his IQ is. On PayPal, Taryn, thank you so much for the $5. He's not going to be back, Taryn. T, thank you for the $5 as well. He says, I just want to know why chaperones are irrelevant to this. They're not. He couldn't say one thing that is relevant. Gary, thank you for the $15, who says, TPA is a master of using the whole dictionary in one go, yet somehow still manages to say absolutely nothing every time he speaks. I know. He raises the world CO2 levels. He's a definition of a waste of air. A brick wall with a pulse. Dude, I love that so much, Gary. You fucking cooked them. As well as Emily, thank you for the $21, who says TPA is an idiot grifter and wannabe Charlie Kirk. I love that. Thank you, Emily, for the $21. Oscar, thank you for the $14, who says, love you, Dean. Love you too, Oscar. Thank you so much. Then Philip, thank you for the $10, who says, keep to yourself, please. I will happily keep that to myself, Philip. And then Dave, thank you for the $5. And Gabby, thank you so much for the $150 donation on PayPal. Gabby, that is beyond kind of you. Thank you so fucking much for the love. Thank you so much, Gabby. I want to see 2,000 W's for Gabby down below in that chat. That is absolutely beyond kind of you, my friend. Thank you so much for the love and support, Gabby. I do not deserve that much love. I mean, like, holy fucking shit. That is out of this world. Gabby with a $150 says, from Gabby, hope you're well, Dean. TPA brings up his height as if it is relevant. Doesn't know is that we only stand short kings who stand tall with their morals and principles on the correct side of humanity. Peace and love to you from the UK is always my guy. Thank you so much for the $150, Gabby. You are phenomenal. Thank you so much. Unreal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lexington, thank you so much for the $20, who says in the clip, he says he was quote unquote allowed in. You think that if he was truly using the word backstage, that he was allowed quote unquote back and not in. Thank you again, Dean, for what you do. Well, thank you, Lexington, for the $20. You are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then Caroline, thank you for the $20 as well. And no worries, Caroline, don't worry. You're not in the queue. Thank you so much for the $20. Just love to Lexington and Caroline down below. And then Hunter, thank you for the $10, who says, I've been watching since before the election, and I love how you change people for the better. Sending love. Well, thank you, Hunter. And with that, we're actually all caught up over on PayPal. Thank you guys so much for the outrageous love and support. We're all caught up on Super Chat for now, man. We just have a couple people to thank on Venmo. Hannah, thank you for the $20, who says day one supporter. You cooked. Thank you so much, Hannah. Let's get to it. Anna W's. Thank you for the support and for the incredibly kind words. I appreciate you. Alana and Ben, thank you guys for the $5. Andrew, thank you for the $5. And then Michael, thank you so much for the $25, who says, long time and daily listener. Thank you for everything that you do. If it's not too much to ask, please stop giving people like TPA a platform. His mind won't change. Well, I mean, he said it himself. That's the last time he's ever going to debate me. So I'm happy that we ended it on a high note for me and a bad note for him. Thank you for the $25, Michael. Jose, thank you for the $32 and the 32 cents, who says, for Dean, pageant contestants do not agree to have a dirty old man look at them naked. MAGA are pretzels twisting to rationalize in donuts. Their souls have a big hole in the middle of them with no ability to empathize. Thank you, Dean. Well, thank you, Jose, for the $32 donation. You are awesome, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Show some love to Jose down below in that chat for the $32. Thank you so much. Then Jocelyn, thank you for the $10. I appreciate you. And then Lily, thank you for the $1. Morgan, thank you for the $5. Amanda with the $10. Thank you so much, Amanda. And then Ben, thank you so fucking much for the $52 donation on Venmo. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Ben. Let's get 500 Ben W's down below in that comment section. That is a shit ton of money, my friend. I don't deserve that. Thank you so much for the love and support. Show some love to Ben down below for the $52 donation. What the hell? Then same thing to Ashley. Thank you for the $10. And then Reese, thank you for the $10. We are all caught up. If you want to support me, you can find the Venmo and the PayPal in the link tree in my bio on TikTok, pin message over on YouTube, and right there, Dean Withers without the E. Really good way to ask a question or to get a message across. Appreciate you guys. Max, tell us why you support Trump.
Wait 1 second. I'm going into a different room. One second.
Okay. I guess.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Why do you support Trump?
So, I support the president because, I had a option, right, to either vote for the person that doesn't stand for my morality or the president that does stand for that. And it's, I'm a believer. I'm not going to say I'm a Christian because I don't go to church, but I do believe in Christianity. And I do think that God creates every human being. God creates everything, and God loves everyone, right? No matter who you are. So I do place some type of value on a fetus the first day. Like the first day of the pregnancy, I do think that God is already creating that future life. And when people like the Democrats say, you know what, let's have an AB because I don't want to have this. It doesn't have to be a health issue. I want an AB, right? Because I didn't want to have a kid with this child. Then they just want it. No.
Would you ever like vote for a woman to be president that is like threatened to like pay for 90 million women's abortions? Or would you not ever vote for them because that would essentially be a threat of genocide against 90 million?
Is this a hypothetical?
Yeah.
Why do you engage in these? I don't like these. I want
because they're
realistic.
Conceptually relevant.
I want real examples. Can you give me one?
So I'm going to ask that you answer my hypothetical. It's conceptually relevant to the debate. Once again, the question is, would you ever vote for a woman who threatened to pay for 90 million people's abortions? Or do you think that would kind of be your red line because under your worldview, that's essentially a threat of genocide against 90 million people?
Without reason? Yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay, so the thing is you've played yourself because you just told us that you'd never vote for somebody who threatened to genocide 90 million people. Donald Trump has done that. It wasn't through threatening to pay for 90 million women's abortions, but rather by threatening to kill every person in Iran, killing their whole civilization, man, woman, and child.
Yeah.
And there's 90 million Iranians.
So listen, I understand what you're saying because that gets brought up a lot of the times, right? But my parents are in law enforcement, and one of them told me, right, he's a Republican, and my dad said, I don't think he actually means the things he said, but instead he's using what the regime uses, right? Like they have said, death to America. So he's like, using the type of way they speak to American people. So when he says, "Oh, the whole civilization will die," he doesn't really mean that. If he does that, then that means that's the end for the Republican Party. That's never gonna happen, even if he actually said it.
So, but we do agree that he did threaten it, right? Even if he didn't mean it.
We do agree that he did say those words. Yes, I do agree with you.
So he did threaten to genocide 90 million people, right?
No, he threatened them in a way that was directed
yes
to
or
the
no.
regime.
Did he threaten to genocide 90 million people, regardless of
respectfully how I see things? He didn't threaten the Iranian people. That's me.
Okay. Could we agree that if he actually did kill the whole Iranian civilization, then that would be a genocide?
Yeah, and he should.
Okay. Did he threaten to kill the whole Iranian civilization?
I don't think you understood what I said.
I'm just asking a question. Can you answer it?
For the people that didn't know anything and the people that don't know how Trump talks, then yes. For the people that don't know how he acts and how he is, then yes.
I'm asking you what you think.
Yeah, you're asking me, and you're asking also my family that comes from the Republican Party. Yes, we know why he did that, and I can tell you the reason.
So we're not talking about why he threatened to genocide. I'm just simply asking you, can we agree that he did threaten a genocide?
I agree that he posted that. Yes, I do agree that he posted it.
So in the post that he made, did he threaten to kill the whole Iranian civilization?
Yes, but he was not being realistic.
Okay, so yes. So you just accepted that yes, he did threaten to kill the whole civilization. You also accepted yes, if he actually did kill the whole civilization, that would be genocide. So in other words, you accept that he did threaten genocide. Now, you're equivocating here because you are rejecting the notion that he threatened genocide by arguing that he didn't mean it when he did. Okay? But it being a baseless threat is different from it not being a threat at all. So it seems like we actually can agree that he threatened the genocide of 90 million people, but you just made me say that it was baseless.
No, I will agree with you if you can agree with me that he did that because he obviously knows that the Iranian regime and the people, right, that are in power of Iran check his social medias for the posts that he does or he posts.
So
can we agree on that?
So the truth value of the proposition that he threatened to genocide 90 million people, regardless if he meant it or not, is not dependent upon me accepting or rejecting any other belief of yours.
Do you understand how Trump speaks?
And understanding how Trump speaks is not relevant to determining that he threatened to genocide 90 million people, regardless if he meant it or not. You're trying to find different variations of mental gymnastics to reason your way out
I
of
will
the fact
agree with
that he
you.
did threaten this genocide, and it's just simply not working out for you, pal.
Yeah, I will agree with you, but since you engage in a hypothetical, I want to ask you a hypothetical.
Okay, so now you've walked yourself because you told me earlier that you never vote for somebody who threatened to genocide 90 million.
No.
But you just admitted that Donald Trump threatened to genocide 90 million. So either do you no longer support Trump as president, or do you walk back your prior statement? Are you either walking back your previous statement, okay, that you would never support somebody as president that has threatened to genocide 90 million people, or do you walk back your previous admission that Donald Trump threatened to genocide 90 million people?
So you know what? I will concede that if that was actually real in a hypothetical, then yes, I would not vote for a president that does that. But instead, Kamala actually meant it. She was for restoring Roe v. Wade. That's differently, right? Because there's one thing like me saying, do you support the president that, engaged in trying to wipe out the whole civilization? Never happened. Those were his words, right? It could be threatening, not for the American people, but for the Iranian people. He didn't mean it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But with Kamala, she was not threatening the Iranian people. She was doing it to the American people. That's differently. And she actually meant it.
Okay, so the first point that I'll make here is regardless of the threat of genocide coming from the most powerful man alive is baseless or not, it still needs to be taken seriously.
We were in a war.
Are you going to continue to interrupt me? A war that Donald Trump started because of his own incompetence. A war that Donald Trump started on a lie. A war that Donald Trump started because of pressure from a genocidal ethno-state. Okay? So the whole we are in a war excuse doesn't fucking work because it doesn't matter. Okay? If America threatened to genocide every single German person during World War II, it would be just as immoral as it would be today. Okay? All right? It doesn't matter that during World War II we were in a war with Germany, now we're not. Doesn't matter that during World War II the Nazi Reich was reigning over Germany, now it's not. A threat of genocide against millions of innocent people is always wrong regardless if it's with base or not. Why? Well, because you have to consider the fact that, 90 million men, women, and children were living in a perpetual state of fear, kissing their children's foreheads days after birth because they thought they're all going to die, as well as the level of mental incompetence that one would have to possess in order to make a genocidal threat in the first place.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable threatening the genocide of 90 million people, then you are mentally incompetent. You are insane. You should not be in the Oval Office. You should be in an asylum. Okay?
Whoa.
Now, secondly, you went on to suggest that Kamala Harris wanted the genocide of millions of people too, and then you
I never said that, sir. Sorry, don't say that I never...
Yes, you did.
No,
You said
I
Kamala
never
Harris actually
said
meant
genocide. I said
Yes, you did.
Kamala Harris actually meant to restoring Roe v. Wade.
And why did you
Are
bring
you
that
saying
up?
that Roe v. Wade is genocide?
That's what you were saying. Why did you bring that up? Relative to what?
No, because you didn't want to talk on the first point I made. I never talked about Trump.
The reason why you brought Roe v. Wade up is because you were making an argument that Donald Trump didn't mean it when he threatened to genocide the Iranians.
So you forgot my
Kamala
first
Harris
statement.
did mean it in reference to bringing back Roe v. Wade. The only way that her bringing back Roe v. Wade, could serve as a fair analogous serve as a fair analogous example of something that we could compare to what Donald Trump did would be if Kamala Harris meant to genocide fetuses. So yes, you were framing bringing back Roe v. Wade as meaning to genocide people.
So you didn't want to engage. So you're cutting off the things I said in the first statement because I said I don't agree because during that moment, Donald Trump didn't threaten to genocide or he has never committed genocide when elections happen. I said when elections happen.
But then you brought up Kamala Harris to compare that to her. You were very clearly saying that Donald Trump didn't mean it when he threatened genocide, but Kamala Harris did mean it when he said that she was going to bring back Roe v. Wade. That's pre-assuming that bringing back Roe v. Wade would cause a genocide.
No, because I said I know what Roe v. Wade does.
Do you agree that when you said Donald Trump didn't mean it when he threatened genocide, but Kamala Harris did mean it when she said she wanted to bring back Roe v. Wade?
Because you
presumes that bringing back Roe v. Wade would be a genocide?
You made me engage in a hypothetical.
Can you just answer my question? Can you agree that this would pre-assume that bringing back Roe v. Wade would mean genocide?
No, I never even made the comparison.
So then why would you compare Donald Trump's threat to Donald Trump's support of Roe v. Wade? If her support of Roe v. Wade isn't tantamount to support of a genocide, then what comparison lies in between Kamala Harris's support of Roe v. Wade and Donald Trump's threat of genocide in Iran? Literally, just tell me, what's the comparison? Because if the comparison is not two threats of genocide, one that you're arguing is meant and the other that you're arguing is not meant, then what is the comparison?
I can't even speak.
Just tell me what the comparison was. Can you clarify what the comparison was?
Yes.
Good.
This is how you think you beat people seriously? This is very childish because I'm letting you speak and you made me engage in that hypothetical and I told you, Dean, I don't want to engage in a hypothetical. And you said, yes. And your hypothetical was, if Kamala threatened to unalive 90 million babies, would you still support him? And will you still support her? And I said, no. That's how you made me engage in Donald Trump because you said,
not answering the question. The question is, what were you comparing when you said Donald Trump didn't mean it when he threatened to genocide the Iranians, but Kamala Harris did mean it when she said she supported bringing back Roe v. Wade? The only comparison that I could think of there would be you assuming that bringing back Roe v. Wade would be a genocide.
No. Okay, so
then what was the comparison?
So what was my comparison? Because Kamala ran on this, right? She wanted to restore Roe v. Wade while Donald Trump made those comments during his term. That didn't happen.
But what connects these two events?
What connects these two events?
Yes, because you compared one to the other. So what's the comparison evaluating?
So the comparison is that one had no value and the other one had value, because we can say that when Donald Trump made those threats, nothing happened when he gave that deadline. When Kamala said that, we know it was going to happen through an executive order. That's a difference. And I didn't want to engage in a hypothetical.
How is bringing back Roe v. Wade comparable to a genocide of the Iranian people?
So you cannot even engage. You cannot even ask me this because this never happened. So it has no value. I can say I'm going to unalive people, and
that was the comparison that you made. You said Donald Trump actually never did this thing. Okay, yet Kamala Harris actually would have done this thing. Okay, but how are these two things comparable? Like, bringing back Roe v. Wade isn't comparable to threatening or actually genociding 90 million people. What's the comparison? Like, Kamala Harris run on bringing back Roe v. Wade? Fucking based? Hell yeah, let's go.
This is how you win.
What is this? What does this have to do at all with Donald Trump threatening genocide? There's just no connect. Like, imagine that you said, "Oh, like Donald Trump didn't mean it when he threatened to genocide Iran, but Kamala Harris did mean it when she ran on tax cuts for the middle class." Okay, what did tax cuts for the middle class have to do with the threat of genocide in Iran? Like, what?
So first of all, this comparison that you're giving me right now, can we agree that
this? You gave me this comparison. I didn't give you this comparison. You gave it to me.
Oh, the example I gave you in the first, to begin with, you didn't want to engage, was that my moral values, I think that God creates life in the first day, and you made me engage in a hypothetical.
What does this have to do? Why did you compare these two things? All that I'm trying to figure out here is what is the comparison between these two things?
The comparison is that I don't agree with APs, and Donald Trump doing this was of no value because nothing happened.
That doesn't describe what the relevant similarity is between these two things.
So why does it have to be similar?
What you're trying to say the relevant similarity is that if Kamala Harris actually re-signed Roe v. Wade into a place, then we'd see a genocide of fetuses.
No, never did that. I never engaged in that.
But that's the only way these two events could be compared.
Why are we comparing these two events? Because you wanted to compare them, right? Be honest.
Listen, because under your view, it'd have to be true that would have to be a genocide. But then you're saying, no, that's not a genocide. But now you're saying, oh, well, Donald Trump didn't mean it when he threatened to genocide Iran. But then Kamala Harris did mean it when she ran on Roe v. Wade. Okay, well, if running on Roe v. Wade isn't genocide, then these two things aren't comparable, nor do they have any relevance to one another. Listen, buddy, you're just lost. You're just lost.
No.
I don't know if I want to continue to go down this rabbit hole with you of trying to describe to you why you're lost. Because you don't know why you're lost. Okay, you're just literally so lost. You're just lost in commotion.
Let me
now check this out. Check this out. Abortion is based.
You're projecting, Dean. Seriously, I respect you, but right now you're acting like a child because I'm letting you speak. And the only comparison you're making of ABs being genocide to Donald Trump making these comments is because you made me engage in a hypothetical. And I told you I don't want to engage in it. And you said no because they're identical. And I never said, oh, ABs are genocide. You were the one that made that comment. Do you agree with me?
Okay, so what I asked you is, well, would you ever vote for somebody, okay, who threatened to pay for 90 million abortions, because that's essentially genocide under your view because you're pro-life, and you said, no, you never vote for somebody that would threaten to pay for 90 million abortions, then we reduce that down to you admitting that you'd never vote for somebody who threatened to genocide 90 million people. But then I brought up Donald Trump's threat of genocide against 90 million people. Now, then you start rejecting that abortion is genocide, and then you start ignoring the fact that you said you never vote for somebody who threatened to genocide 90 million people.
So, okay, and this is the difference, right? When I gave you that example was during the election, right? You're giving me an example of a president that I voted for that made a comment during his presidency. So what do you want me to say? I don't support him no more because he made those comments that had no value? Not exactly.
Wait, why don't you think that threatening to genocide 90 million people has any value? What?
Because I knew, since I told you, the people that don't know obviously were confused and probably thought it was real. But since I support the man and I know how he acts, I knew that he didn't mean it. He was.
It doesn't matter. It still has value if he doesn't mean it, because it still scares the shit out of people and demonstrates him to be a brutalistic authoritarian who's willing to threaten genocide to get what he wants. Even if he doesn't mean it, it still matters.
Okay, so what do you think? Okay,
like how crazy do you have to be to threaten a genocide to get what you want?
No, I can agree that the Iranian people probably felt scared because they know Trump, makes some crazy comments.
Would you ever threaten to rape a child to get what you want?
What? What are these hypotheticals?
Answer the question. Would you ever threaten to rape a child even if you didn't mean it to get what you want?
Why are you making this insane hypothetical?
You know the answer to the question is no. You know the answer to the question is no. You know that you would never threaten to rape a child even if you didn't mean it to get what you want. You also know that no sane person would ever threaten to rape a child even if they didn't mean it to get what they want. Very similarly, no sane person would ever threaten to genocide 90 million people, including millions of children, to get what they want. Both child rape and genocide exist in a tier of incredibly perverse, immoral actions that we wouldn't even threaten to do them even if we didn't actually want to do them in order to get what we want. If we can agree, okay, that somebody would be crazy to threaten to rape a child even if they didn't mean it to get what they want, then we would also have to agree that somebody would be crazy if they threatened to genocide 90 million people even if they didn't mean it to get what they want. Right?
Okay, but they had different meanings. Those different things that, you know...
Is there any circumstance with any meaning where somebody would not be crazy if they threatened to rape a child to get what they want?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, ABs and the genocide.
Answer my question. So if there's not a single circumstance where it would ever be permissible or non-crazy to threaten to rape a child to get what you want, even if you don't mean it,
why do you engage
then why
in these
are there
hypotheticals,
circumstances?
dude?
Because it proves a point. It proves a very solid point. The point that it's proving, okay,
It's not
is that there's
realistic.
sufficiently immoral actions like child rape or genocide that somebody would be crazy to threaten to get what they want, even if they never meant through to pull on, even if they never intended to pull through on the threat. Do you agree?
I do agree, but these are crazy, insane
Then you agree
hypotheticals
that
that
Donald
don't
Trump's crazy.
align
You
with
just
my
conceded.
value.
You
No,
just conceded.
no, because you don't
You just
even want to
conceded
debate
that Donald
my
Trump is
point.
crazy. You just conceded that Donald Trump is crazy. You did. Because you just agreed that there's not a single conceivable circumstance where somebody could not be crazy if they were to threaten child rape or genocide to get what they want, even if they never intended to actually do it.
So okay. Let me respond. 1 second. You asked me these two things, right? You said about these two things. If I said no, you know what would happen? Everyone in your chat will flood my my private DMs with "you're fucking insane, you're mentally ill," because that's what you try to do. Obviously, because if I respond no to that child rape, do you think that's not insane? But those are the hypotheticals you want to engage in. You want to put people in a corner.
Yeah, so I do want to put people in corners.
Child rape
I
have
do.
to do with
I do want to put people
genocide?
in corners. I absolutely do want to put people in corners because that's how you fucking
With
debate, bro.
hypotheticals?
And then
With
you're saying that
hypotheticals?
then you're saying it would be the fault of the
Congrats.
yes.
Why
Yes,
Charlie
I want
Kirk
to
is
put people
bigger
in
than
corners
you and
with
better than
hypotheticals
you.
because that's how we could conceptually prove your logic to be unreliable. That's the point of a hypothetical, is to conceptually prove that your logic is unreliable. You're just simply not smart enough to understand how hypotheticals can conceptually relate to the logic in which would underpin the argument in which you're making. And you just admitted that you would be wrong and insane to suggest that it is ever okay to threaten child rape, even if you never meant to do it, in order to get what you want. Correct?
Yeah, that's obviously insane, but that doesn't have to do anything with Donald Trump.
Can we agree? Listen, we're going to connect it to Donald Trump right now. This is why we use hypotheticals. So now that you've agreed, there's not a conceivable circumstance where it's ever okay to threaten to rape a child, even if you don't mean it to get what you want. Can we agree that the reason why there's not a conceivable circumstance of that being okay is because child rape is very wrong?
No, it's not just wrong. It's illegal, and it's wrong in our culture. But in other cultures, I would agree that, you know, they have different perspectives in life, and that's true. It's wrong for us because we don't engage in those things. But I don't know in the Middle East if they engage in those things. That's crazy, right?
So you don't think it's wrong to rape a child in the Middle East?
Me, yes, 100%. But those crazy people, I don't think they find it wrong.
Okay, wait. So you respond to my question, asking you. So the reason why it'd be insane to threaten this is because it's insanely wrong by saying, well, other people don't think it's wrong. Okay, you understand the way that comes off, okay, is you being apologetic to the notion that child rape isn't wrong.
No, I didn't mean that. What I'm trying to say is...
Then what the fuck do you mean?
Oh, what I actually meant is that we find things wrong that other people that might not even find
And what's
wrong.
the point that statement serves? Yes, there's a lot of crazy people who do not think bad things are bad. But what conceptual point does that serve to further this discourse? None. All right, and that's why it looks like you're being apologetic to the wrongness of child rape when you bring it up.
Now you're gonna say I'm a child apologist.
It just seems like you're attempting to excuse child rape to some level, okay? Because like, why else would you bring up the fact that some people don't think child rape is wrong?
Yeah, move on. I didn't even make that comment because I'm not.
So then can we agree the reason why there's not a single conceivable circumstance of threatening child rape to get what you want, even if you don't intend to do it, why that's always wrong, okay, is because of how bad child rape is, correct?
Yeah, and my moral values, I think it's the worst thing to do.
Okay, can we agree that genocide would also exist on the high tier of like the worst things somebody could ever do? Right there with child rape.
That's a crazy question. If you actually meant that, right, with actions, and you took actions to...
No, just answer my question. Can we agree that genocide lives right beside child rape on like the very worst things that a human can ever do?
I think genocide is worst because that involves millions.
Listen, all right, so we've now agreed that child rape and genocide exist on that same high tier of like the very, very, very bad things people could do. Perfect. All right, now we're going to connect this back to Trump. So you said that there's not a single conceivable circumstance where somebody wouldn't be insane to threaten child rape, even if they didn't mean to do it, because of how wrong child rape is. And because you've agreed that child rape exists on a very similar pillar to genocide, insofar as the worst actions ever, you would, in virtue of that fact, agree that there's not a single conceivable circumstance where somebody wouldn't be insane to threaten genocide to get what they want, even if they didn't mean it. Correct?
The difference is that it involves a country and a single person. I think when you're making an example of, threatening a whole country and threatening a person, I think it's different.
I can prove that it's not different. If Donald Trump threatened to rape a bunch of Iranian little girls, if the IRGC didn't give what he wanted to them, would it therefore be permissible in that circumstance? Because he's not making the threat against any one unique individual, but is rather making the threat against a country in reference to that country's individuals.
Okay, I can agree that if you have to threaten genocide
Can you answer the question? Would Donald Trump be insane if he threatened to rape a bunch of Iranian little girls to get what he wanted from the IRGC? He would be insane, even though he's making the threat. He wouldn't be insane?
No, yes, but your content, dude.
Okay, so the answer is yes. So he would be insane, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the person versus country distinction isn't relevant here, because you attempted to tell me that the reason why Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide against Iranians is because that threat was made to a government to leverage that government into doing what he wanted. But now you're accepting that even if he made a threat against child rape against a bunch of different Iranian little girls to the IRGC to get what he wanted from them, that would still mean he's insane. So this excuse actually does not explain the symmetry breaker in the logic insofar as why you think there's no conceivable circumstances in which somebody would not be insane if they were to threaten to rape a child to get what they want, even if they didn't mean it, and how the fact that you would therefore also adopt and accept that there's not a single conceivable circumstance of somebody threatening genocide to get what they want, even if they didn't mean it.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to respond to your hypotheticals, right? You first mentioned if you raped a child and you threaten a whole civilization, right? But that's different because if you threat someone, that's a direct threat. It's like if I told you, Dean, you know what? I'm the president of the United States, right? And I threaten you with raping you, right? And I threaten Germany with raping all the kids in Germany. Do you think one's realistic and one's not?
Wait, would Donald Trump have been insane if he threatened to rape all the Iranian little girls?
That would never even happen, and yes, he would, because that's not even realistic.
Okay, perfect. So once again, you're agreeing that Donald Trump would be insane if he threatened to rape a bunch of Iranian little girls to get what he wanted from the IRGC because of how wrong child rape is. And then you agreed that genocide exists on that same level as child rape. Therefore, Donald Trump was insane because he threatened to genocide all Iranians.
Do you think only
there's
Iranians
no way out
live in
for you
Iran? Wait, do you think there's other Iranians that live in other places? Because you said he threatened genocide against Iranians. Do you think there's other people?
He threatened genocide against the Iranian national group by threatening to kill all members of the civilization.
Yeah, fix your wordings, buddy. It's like if I say I'm gonna freaking,
Now, can you respond to the point, please? Can you please respond to the point?
Like I said, one was affecting the American people, right, God. In that moment, and one was not realistic.
Wait, you keep on arguing that wasn't realistic. Okay. So you just simply don't have a good cohesive counter argument against the objection which I'm making here, right? Because once again, the point is is that we agreed there's literally not a single circumstance where threatening child rape to get what you want, okay, would ever make a person not crazy. If somebody were to ever threaten child rape to get what they want, they would always be crazy because of how wrong child rape is. Then you agreed that genocide is also very wrong and exists on that same level as child rape. Yet you think that there are conceivable circumstances where somebody would not be insane for threatening genocide in order to get what they want, even if they didn't mean to do it.
Yeah,
the reason why, the reason why that this is a contradiction is because you accepted the reason why it would make somebody crazy to threaten child rape is because of how wrong child rape is. But then you accepted that genocide would exist on that same level of wrongness. Therefore, you're contradicting yourself by not yielding the same conclusion in reference to a threat of genocide.
So, and Dean, I respect you.
What's the counter argument?
My counter argument is that you're making these two examples, which you're cornering me, obviously, right? Because that's what you're an expert in.
What's the counter argument?
The counter argument is that if you make a threat, yes, it can be bad, but it has no value unless it has actions.
Wait, so if somebody threatens to rape a child and never does it, it has no value?
If that's a single person. It can have value if you can.
Oh, okay, so then threats can have value even if you don't pull through on them, you idiots.
But that's a single person.
Wait, why does it change? Why does it change from making a threat against one person to making a threat against a whole country?
Because in order to wipe a whole civilization, what would it require?
Nukes, which we have. Therefore, it's realistic.
It's realistic, right? And do you think any president will ever use nukes? That's what I'm saying. It's not realistic, right?
The only person that has ever used a nuke is a U.S. president.
How long ago?
Dude, how long ago? World War II.
Oh, do you think? Okay, do you think in this generation someone will use a nuke? And who would that be?
It's definitely possible. What is the relevance of this?
The relevance is that one is like the chances of one happening is like 0.1%. And if the chances of me doing a direct threat to a single person, there is a higher chance.
The chance of somebody, the chance of somebody being able to break out of jail. The chance of somebody being able to break out of jail is like 0.1%. So would you argue if a jail inmate threatened
Why
to
are you
break out of...
these hypotheticals,
Because
bro?
it's relevant. I'm trying to show that
The
to you right
chances
now.
of
You
me
said the
unaliving
reason why
myself
Donald
is
Trump...
1%.
I'll tell you the relevance. You said the reason why Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide is because it's unrealistic that Donald Trump would actually do genocide. It's unrealistic that a prison inmate would escape that prison then rape somebody, right? Because it's really hard to break out of jail. Therefore, would you argue that a prison inmate wouldn't be insane if they threatened to break out of jail and then go rape a child? No, clearly they would still be insane if they threatened to break out of jail and then rape a child, even if the likelihood that they were actually able to break out of jail was very low. Therefore, you can't say that Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide due to the fact that you think the likelihood of Trump actually doing it is very low.
So these are the differences that you're making, right? You're making an example of someone breaking out of jail, which they are legally not allowed to do when the president has, has a nukes, right? So you're telling me, a person will get out of jail, which is rare, and rape a child when they can do it to a person already inside jail. So why are you making an example of someone literally in prison that is not allowed to
because
go
the
outside?
likelihood that they'd be able to pull through on that threat is very low, yet we'd still
So what is
agree
the
they're crazy
likelihood
for
of
making a
someone
threat.
raping and someone inside jail?
The threat wasn't about raping somebody inside a jail. The threat was about them breaking out of jail than raping somebody.
So why do you add two circumstances, though? Because the chances of
Because it shows that somebody's still insane for making a threat, even if the likelihood for them to pull through on the threat is very low.
Make
your
another
point was that Donald Trump's not crazy for threatening genocide because the likelihood that he actually does it is very low, right?
You are.
See, you're caught. Yes, you're caught. You're fucking caught. You can't argue that Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide because the likelihood he did it was low. You can't argue that Donald Trump was not insane for threatening genocide because he didn't mean it, because you agreed for other actions that are very similar in levels of wrongness, like child rape. Even if somebody threatened them and didn't mean it, they'd still be crazy. You can't argue anything. You just have to accept that Donald Trump is insane for threatening genocide. And by the way, the reason why you're getting so fucking destroyed very very hard in this debate is because it is common sense that only insane people threaten genocide. It is really hard to argue against the notion that you are insane if you threaten genocide, regardless of the context, regardless of the likelihood that you pull through on that threat, or regardless if you mean it or not.
Okay,
that's why you can't win this debate.
No, wait. Is it common sense to grape 99 million Iranian children like you said Donald Trump could?
What?
Yeah, you made me engage in a hypothetical. So is it reality? Is it common sense or no?
I don't even know what you're asking me. Like, is it common sense to rape 99 million? What?
So, no, because the point I'm trying to make here is that you make me engage in so many hypotheticals, the ones that don't align with my values, right? But when I ask you, hey, you know what? If Donald Trump...
I was using hypotheticals to support counter-arguments against your position by accounting for the relevant facts.
But you're using crazy hypotheticals.
Dude, to account for the relevant facts of the argument you made. The argument you made is that Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide because it's unrealistic that he would actually do it. Therefore, I gave you a hypothetical of somebody making a threat that would be unrealistic of them actually doing it because of how hard it is to break out of jail, and you still agreed in the hypothetical that that person would be insane even if it's unrealistic that they'd be able to achieve their goal. Right? So that's the reason why the hypothetical was relevant, because it was able to effectively defeat your argument that Donald Trump's not insane for making a threat of genocide because it was unrealistic that he'd actually do it.
So is Donald... Okay, you know what? I'm a man enough, and I will concede if you can answer this question directly. I swear to God. Ready? So if Donald Trump, right, actually told a girl, hey, I'm going to grape you, and it was a direct threat, right? And he... said, hey, I'm going to grape 99 million Iranian people in...
If anything, he's more insane for the graping of the 99 million.
What's more? No. Yeah, Dean, let me speak, man.
God.
So if Donald Trump threatened someone directly, hey, I'm going to grape you, and then he threatened, the whole civilization of kids in Iran and said, hey, I'm going to grape all these kids, right? What do you think is more realistic, him graping a child or him graping 99 million?
When you say
kids
realistic,
in Iran?
you mean more likely to actually occur. Clearly, it's more likely that he'd rape one person compared to 99 million.
So when Kamala Harris, right, threatens to
Kamala Harris isn't relevant to the debate.
That's why you asked me. Why do you still support the president?
The debate isn't over. Like you're claiming about
the
Kamala
debate
Harris.
is over.
The debate is over. Donald Trump being insane for threatening to genocide 90 million people.
Okay, listen, what has more value? Threatening a genocide, which clearly didn't happen, or a president that wanted to restore the Roe v. Wade?
The question, what has more value, doesn't even make any sense because I don't know what you mean by value there.
No, because a question can have more value based on the chances of happening.
What do you mean by value? Like, what are you asking me specifically?
So value, meaning like, more realistically possible of happening. Restoring Roe v. Wade.
That's not the way that we use the word value. We don't use the word value to describe how realistic an outcome is. That's not the way that we use the word value.
I speak 3 languages and you only speak 1, so you clearly understand me a little bit, right?
Like I told you, I didn't understand what you said because like the use of the word value in that context doesn't make sense. So do you want to try to ask the question again in a way that does?
Yeah. So what's more realistically possible of happening, which adds a greater value on a statement?
That does not add greater value on a statement. What?
Yes, because if
define value.
Value is something that has in my opinion, I think it's something that has a greater chance of happening in this perspective.
Okay, for sure. What do you think has more value? You waking up to $1 million or you waking up to a cup of water?
Cup of water, but those are the hypotheticals you make me use.
That's not the way that we use the word value. Clearly, it would have more value to wake up to just find an additional $1 billion in your bank account for you to wake up to, I don't know, a cup of water. Okay, but clearly it's going to be like more likely for you to wake up to a cup of water compared for you to wake up to $1 million in your bank account. This just shows that that's not the way that we use the word value. Like if anything, typically we use the word value to describe things in which would be even less likely to occur because typically things in which are more scarce or harder to attain have more value. Like clearly, a master's degree has more value than a high school diploma. What's more realistic to actually attain? A high school diploma or a master's degree? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is what I mean. So maybe you don't understand me, right? But when I say value, I mean what's more of value when you say something, right? Because saying something can have a bigger value or a smaller value, right? Would you agree with me?
You're just using the word value in a very weird way that makes no sense. And I don't understand why you're standing 10 toes down on it. Like, this just simply is not the way that we use the word value in society.
Okay, then, but your hypotheticals are not even realistic. So I'm using words that even make sense in my brain, and you're using hypotheticals that make sense in your brain.
By the way, my hypotheticals were very realistic. I bet that prison inmates threaten to escape and rape people.
Donald Trump raping 99 million children were realistic.
You keep on going back to that one. The hypothetical to which I'm referencing here would clearly be the fact that you said Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide because the likelihood that it actually occurs is low. Right? That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay. So if a prison inmate threatened to escape that prison and rape a child outside, would they still be insane even though the likelihood of that actually happening is low?
Why do you have to say escape prison? Can you give me a hypothetical that would be
because
inside prison?
That's what makes the likelihood really low.
So why do you use that likelihood? Okay, let me say this.
Because it's a fucking argument that you just made the argument that Trump isn't insane for threatening genocide because the likelihood of it actually happening is low. So clearly, if I want to prove to you that somebody's insane for making a threat, even if the likelihood that they pull through on that threat is low, I'm going to give you an example of somebody making a threat when the likelihood of them pulling through it is low. Like, holy fuck. Use your brain. Answer the question. If a prison detainee threatened to escape prison and rape a child on the other side, would they be insane for making that threat even though the likelihood of them pulling through it is low?
Because they don't have any power to themselves. They would be insane.
Okay, so perfect. So I just want to clarify. You are now agreeing that when people make threats that would be very hard to pull through on, therefore the likelihood would be low, they're still insane for making them in the first place. So therefore, when you said that Donald Trump isn't insane for threatening genocide because the likelihood that he'd be able to pull through on that threat is low, is an argument that you now concede.
But you're not, okay, but two stories
you concede that argument, yes or no?
No, dude, you're fucking...
Okay, so then you're just an incoherent, contradictive mess. Because you're agreeing in one sense that somebody's crazy for making a threat that they probably won't pull through on, but then in the other sense, arguing that this person is not insane for making this threat because they probably couldn't pull through on it. You're special pleading as it relates to Trump to be a fucking sophist for a crazy, crazy rapist, and it's embarrassing for you.
This is how you win debates, right? When you
just admit that I won the debate. Thank you.
No, you engage in hypotheticals, and that's how you win, right? Because
yes, I used a hypothetical to debunk your shitty ass argument. You fucking bot.
Okay, what was my argument?
Your argument was that the reason why Donald Trump is not insane for
that's not my argument on why I support him.
Bro, this is the argument that you gave me less than 5 minutes ago that I'm debunking with a hypothetical.
This was a hypothetical you gave me.
You made the claim that Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide,
I
right?
made the claim that I don't support
wait. Do you believe that Donald Trump is not insane for threatening genocide? Yes or no?
Since I know what he meant, it's different.
You're not answering my question. Are you arguing that he was not insane for threatening genocide? Yes or no?
If I didn't know anything about it, then yes, I would say that.
No, I'm asking you right now. Do you believe that Donald Trump was insane or not insane for threatening genocide?
Threatening genocide. Was he insane for that? Let me see. Do I know the man? Yes, I know him. Was he likely to engage in those actions? No. So maybe he went off the line, but I don't think that he was insane in the way that he was going to.
Because it wasn't likely he was actually going to do it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So then why did you say a prison detainee would be insane for threatening to escape prison and rape somebody on the other side if the likelihood of them actually doing it was low? Why did you agree that person would be insane?
I think they would be delusional.
You agreed they would be insane. Why do you think they'd be insane?
No. I don't think they would be insane. I think that they would be more delusional.
You don't sound okay. So now you just argue that somebody is not insane even if they threaten to rape kids. Really, bro?
In prison, inside
really
prison,
fucking
coming
bro?
out of prison.
Really?
This is how you win. This is how you win.
If
Look,
anything,
guys, just to make sure,
if anything, the fact that they would have a very hard time at escaping prison is something that would make them more insane. And in fact, we use the word insane and delusional like pretty interchangeably. It's synonyms.
Yeah. Can we say that if someone attempts to say or makes threats that he's gonna escape prison, can we say that person is delusional?
Yeah. They'd be insane.
So that's what I mean. So
they'd be both insane and delusional simultaneously.
God, they would be insane for trying to escape prison. Yes, they would be even more insane for saying that they're gonna rape a child because they're delusional that they're gonna try to escape prison. So it's two things.
Okay, perfect. So then you agree that Donald Trump is insane because he threatened to commit genocide, even though the likelihood of that is low.
I think he was delusional. That's what you want me to answer? Delusional. Yes.
Okay,
he was
delusional is a synonym for insane.
Okay, dude, he was insane. So what's my argument? What was my first argument? You didn't
perfect.
engage?
So then you accept that you support an insane maniac that threatened genocide as president?
With no value of the genocide? I do support him.
So now you're arguing that I have no... Dude, oh my God. This guy's a fucking bot, bro. Deadass bot. Also, I just looked at this. Why do you have a repost making fun of George Floyd?
It's not a repost. It's a meme.
Yeah. Why are you making?
Because I know. No, it's not me mocking him. It's just a repost. I don't think that matters, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would argue that it's like pretty nuts to pretty insane. You know, good use of the word here.
Am I delusional?
Make memes and like joke about people who were killed by racist cops and murdered. Yeah.
Wait, so if you're not adding everything up, what did the court say about him?
The court said that he was murdered.
And he had what did he have in his system?
He had like a couple different things in his system, but it's irrelevant because the coroner's office determined that he didn't OD from them.
That's not what I read recently.
I know, because you're a fucking dumbass and you probably got this off of a random shitpost on Twitter you bought. That is literally what the coroner's report said.
Are you sure?
If the coroner's report said that he died from an OD, then they wouldn't have been able to convict Derek Chauvin for murder.
They convicted him because of the moment. And what does my repost have to do with anything?
Give me the evidence. Give me the evidence that Floyd died from an OD. Give it to me.
Okay, I will give you the source. Can you give me 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, the guests today suck. Like, this is like so bad. I'm just not having fun. Like, these people are like actual bots. They're droids. They're like literally droids. Every single one of them is dense as hell. And I'm just not having any fun. No fun, dude. Oh. Aaron, I appreciate you for the $5 on PayPal. He says, hey, thank you for being so awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Delilah, thank you for the $10. He says his fourth repost is racist. He's not good faith. We're talking about that right now, Delilah. Thank you for the 10. And then Rian, thank you so much for the $10 as well. And I'm really happy that I could bring you joy. Thank you so much, Rian. Taryn, thank you so much for the $5. And we are all caught up over on PayPal. On Super Chat, thank you for the $20 full band, who says speaking 3 languages just means more people know you're dumb, my guy. That's funny as hell. That's funny as hell. Thank you for the $20 full band. Amber, thank you so much for the $20 on Super Chat as well, who says, why is everybody on the far right currently scared of hypotheticals? It's just being able to think. Is that why? Genuinely afraid they are not trolls and actually cannot engage in critical thinking? No, they can't. People that think that like hypotheticals are ineffective or irrelevant towards discourse, like, are legit just like, they don't have an ability to conceptually think, because you have to be able to conceptually think to some level to see the value in hypothetical. Thank you for the $20. Logger, thank you for the 10, who says the hypothetical is only becoming extreme because the previous hypothetical wasn't extreme enough. Not willing to answer the hypothetical's equivalent value. Dean had 2 for an extreme still equal. Thank you for the $10, Logger. Who else do we got here? J Dub, thank you so much for the $50 donation on Super Chat, who says it's extremely difficult to understand these people. Seriously, I don't get it. Keep it up as usual, my guy. Thank you so much for the love, J Dub. Show some love to J Dub down below in that chat. I really appreciate you.
I got the
thank
source,
you so much,
brother.
J-Dub. Thank you. I want to see 500 JWs down below in that comment section. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Getting rich off hypotheticals. Congrats, Dean.
Yeah, apparently so. Can you say thank you, J-Dub, for the $50 donation?
No, thank you for providing this guy food for his future wife, for his future kids. Hopefully he doesn't AB them.
Well, I mean, I want to get an abortion because I don't have a uterus.
No, but I think that you can engage in that, right? In that...
No. I just can't.
You cannot say, hey, you don't think it's a 50-50?
It's literally not.
No, what I'm saying is you don't think the father gets involved in an AB with his approval. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't think that there should have to be legal approval of the man in order for a woman to get an abortion. Hell no.
That's what I wanted to talk about, but you it's a fine. I got the source, though.
Okay.
APnews.com. Look at you smiling because you know you engage. When are you going to do a Turning Point USA?
What's the title
IRL.
of what is the title of the AP article?
George Floyd's autopsy, I think something else. It's not new. George Floyd's autopsy is not new. It was in 2023.
You embarrassed yourself by not reading the whole article. This is like literally so ironic.
You haven't read the article.
This is like literally so ironic. He didn't read
go down.
the whole article title. This is crazy. The article title that he read says George Floyd's autopsy report is not new. Okay. And that's likely where like his ChatGPT or Grok, whatever, like cut off the article title. But then the next part of the article title that he did not see says does not say he died of an overdose. You legit can't make this up. You are so...
You haven't read it. You haven't read it.
A new autopsy report for George Floyd has been released in 2023, revealing he died from a drug overdose, not from the actions of arresting Minneapolis officers. AP's assessment, false. Social media users are sharing a page from the 20-page autopsy report that publicly released from the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office in full on June 3rd, 2020. It has not changed since. Well, the page says that he had F and M drug in his system and did not have quote-unquote life-threatening injuries. The full report concludes that Floyd died from cardiopulmonary arrests, not an overdose. You are so fucking stupid. This is like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is by far the worst thing.
I think AI got to me.
Do.
No, I think AI got to me because, they make false claims. I'm going to be honest with you.
So admit that you were wrong.
In Twitter. No, I will admit that Twitter said something that was not true.
Okay. Can you admit that you said something that wasn't true when you said he died from an OD?
I can say that it was multiple things that he died for, but
not
most,
from an OD?
I think... No, but I think that his shrugs played a part, a role.
That's not what the autopsy report or medical examiner said.
Okay, I do agree that he wasn't alive there.
What?
I do agree that he wasn't alive.
Okay,
I'm a man.
Agree. So he was killed by Derek Chauvin, right? And he did not die from an OD, correct?
Yeah, he's in prison.
Okay, thank you for the concession.
But why didn't you want to engage in the first point I made, Dean? Can you tell me?
Yeah, what point
do
you want me to engage in?
Yeah, before you kick me, I want to, this was my first point before you made me engage in a hypothetical was that, I support the president when I hadn't to vote, right? Based on Roe v. Wade. And I said, I think I'm a believer. I'm not a Christian because I don't go to church. I don't have a Bible, but I do think that God values everything and everyone, right? And I do think that he creates life. I do think that God creates human beings, and I do think that he creates them during the first day of pregnancy. It doesn't have to be after 9 months.
Wrong?
How do I think God's abortion is wrong? Because he values everything.
How do you know that God values the lives of fetuses and thinks that it's murder to kill them?
How do you know he doesn't value it? Can you prove me wrong?
Okay, so you can't just suggest a non-falsifiable theory in an attempt to justify a claim to be true, given that your opponent can't falsify it.
Do you think God creates everything?
Very similarly, stop. Like, for instance, I could very similarly posit the opposite non-falsifiable theory. I believe in a God that does not value all human life, only human life, and which has sentience. Thereby, fetuses prior to 20 through 24 weeks do not have moral value. Thereby, abortion is not murder prior to that point. And now, if you were to ask me, okay, well, Dean, what is your evidence that this God exists? And what is your evidence that this God holds to these beliefs? Well, I couldn't just turn around and say, well, can you disprove the notion that this God exists? And if you were unable to disprove the notion that that God exists, I'm not justified in then believing that God does exist. So once again, the burden would be on you to demonstrate that a God exists that thinks abortion is murder.
Yeah.
This is going to be very difficult for you to do because you said that
I will prove it right now.
You said that you're not a Christian. You just said that you have like these superstitions of a God that you think you believe in outside of any mainstream Abrahamic faith.
No.
It just kind of seems like it's something you're making up in your head.
No. I told you I was born in a Christian family. I said I'm not a Christian because I don't go to.
Okay, so I'm a believer. Then without quoting the Bible, because you're not a Christian, justify from a religious perspective that abortion is murder.
So when I was born, I heard these people talk about the Bible, and I heard since I was being at 6-7 years old, I heard that they said that God creates everything, God puts everything, and God has a reason for everything.
But that's not what you believe. to be true because of the Bible due to the fact that you're not a Christian.
But do you think okay, so in order for me to believe something, does it mean that I have to read the Bible?
In order for you to be a Christian, it means that you have to affirm that the Bible is true. Yes.
What if I'm a believer?
If you're a believer in the Christian God, then you are a Christian and you affirm that the Bible is true. However, you reject that you're a Christian, then you don't affirm that the Bible is true.
No, I didn't make that claim. I said I'm not a Christian because I do think that in order to be a Christian, you have to go to church, and you have to preach, and you have to, read the Bible, which I don't do, but I was born into those type of things. But I still believe in God, and I still believe that He exists, and I believe in the Bible.
What is the definition of the word Christian?
What's the definition? I can only tell you in Spanish. I don't know. Can you tell me in English?
Follower of Christ.
Oh, then I guess, right? But a true Christian?
If you think that Jesus Christ is God, then you're a Christian. Now, there's such a thing as a bad Christian. And I think that the phrase true Christian is often used in place of a Christian that actually follows the teachings of the Bible. Okay? But as long as you affirm the Trinity, the Nicene Creed, the canonization of the scripture of the Bible, and you think that Jesus is God, then you're a Christian. So, okay, so you're telling me that you are a Christian. Okay, so you're arguing from the Christian perspective. So do you agree with the typical interpretation of most Christians that all sins are viewed identically in the eyes of God outside of blasphemy? This is not a hypothetical, you idiot.
No, I'm just saying, I hope you don't make me engage in hypotheticals.
So do you agree with the typical non-denominational Christian perspective that all sins are viewed identically in the eyes of God outside of blasphemy?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you think that the sin of abortion is identical to the sin of lying. Do you think that it should be illegal to tell your children that Santa Claus exists?
I don't think it should be illegal. I think that's a legal term.
Okay, perfect. So if you don't think it should be illegal to tell your children that Santa Claus exists, even though that's a sin identical to the sin of abortion, then you don't think that the sin of abortion should be illegal either.
So what does illegal have to do with God? God doesn't create legal or legal.
But we're talking about Roe v. Wade. Your argument was that, you voted for Trump because Kamala Harris ran and reinstituting Roe v. Wade.
No.
Those are legal protections.
But you're giving me two different examples.
What two different examples?
So the examples I wanted to give you, because you always ask me examples, and I wanted you to prove. I wanted you to answer me this because you're a true Christian, right? Does God create life? Like, does He say this in the Bible?
Wait. You can't just circumnavigate around my argument. Can you agree that you think abortion should be legal?
No, I don't think abortion should be legal, except I think 1%.
So why do you think that abortion should be illegal? Yet lying to your child about the existence of Santa Claus should be legal.
Yeah.
Even though these two things are viewed identically in the eyes of God.
So in a moral way, right? A person has different moralities, and I would say that unaliving a child and lying is not the same. I wouldn't value it as the same sin or the same value.
Okay,
I don't think it has the same value.
Who's the standard of truth? You or God?
Okay, I don't know what God might say about these things. I don't know. I think
you said that you think that in the eyes of God, all sins are viewed identically outside of blasphemy.
I think that it's harder to repent from a sin of just lying than unaliving someone. I think. Would you agree with me?
Well, I mean,
the process.
No, I wouldn't agree with you if all sins are the same.
Okay, wait. So if I just you can engage in hypotheticals, right?
Same, then
you don't let me speak now. Okay. What do you think it's harder? What do you think it's harder for me to repent from? Me lying to my mother, or me going out and literally headshotting someone and saying, "God, please forgive me, Amen." What do you think is harder to repent from?
If you adopt the view that all sins are identical in the eyes of God, then they would both be equally as hard to repent from.
I would say that if God views them, God views every sin as equally, right? But for us human beings, I think that something's worse than others.
Okay, so you're arguing here that
you just added your baby. I'm out of here, bro. You just added your baby, bro. Like, seriously?
Just answer the question. So you think that there's two?
Why are you so mad, bro?
Morality?
Because you guys want to 2v1 me like an Oreo. You guys want to one on top of me and one on the bottom. Like, what the fuck is this?
Hey, bro, stop crashing out. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, be quiet.
Yeah, I told you to be quiet, genius.
Okay, I want to engage with Dean.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, actually, before you do, I'm just going to quickly thank a couple people.
Believe in God.
Addison, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. Addison, thank you so much for that love. Addison says, "Hey Dean, any advice on grief?" Oh, Addison, get a therapist. That's my advice. Genuinely, I just read the rest of your message. Please get a therapist, Addison. 110%. Thank you for the $10. Tom, thank you for the $10. Who says millions of Iranians had to comfort their children who were promised death from above. He's confident in Trump. Imagine that his family is the target of the threat. How confident would he be? Oh, you'd have none. Thank you for the $10, Tom. Can you thank Tom for the $10, Lixmax?
Oh, thank you for providing for his family, for his future family when he doesn't AB them.
Yeah, good boy. Vicky, thank you for the $2. Who says, thank you, Dean. I'm actually going to put that in a fund to pay for my girlfriend's future abortions. Karen, thank you for the $15. I appreciate you so much for that love. Man. I'm going to put that into a fund to pay for my girlfriend's future abortions fund with a $15. Thank you so much. And then Peter, thank you so much for the $50 donation on Venmo. Who says, this cringe Lixmaxer is quote-unquote debating like he's learning what hypothetical means in real time. Well, it's because he's very unintelligent. Thank you for the $50 for the future abortion fund. Thank you so much, Peter. Show some love to Peter in that chat for the $50. And then Allison, thank you for the $20. Who says, amazing argument. As always, you're the best. Thank you, Allison. And then DD
thank you for the coin.
With $10.
Thank you for the coin, Elise.
You're working hard today, Dean? Oh, I know, bro. These people today suck. Jay, thank you for the $22. Who says, hey, Dean, long-time fly on the wall, first-time donor. I was wondering if you've heard about the Missouri wanting to vote out income taxes and replace it with increased sales tax. I don't think it's really being talked about a lot. Thank you for all that you do. I really hope that they don't do that because that is just straight up a regressive tax, Jay. Thank you for the $22. I really hope they don't do that. Then Katie, thank you for the $10. Who says, thank you for everything that you do to bring awareness to this.
If you support babies,
also, please be careful with all the crazy
coins.
people out there. All the best to you. Thank you for the $10, Katie. Did you just ask people to send you money if they support babies?
Yeah, because you do it too. Why can't I do it?
How about, guys, send me money if you support abortion. Yeah.
Oh, we can do that battle, buddy.
We're going to spend it all on women's abortions. I'm going to spend it all on women's abortions. I'm going to take all their money. Yeah. And I'm going to spend it all on abortions.
You're evil.
By the way, I'm clearly being satirical.
No, I think you're evil.
Joey, thank you for the flying jets. I appreciate you. Then Z, thank you for the $20. Who says conservative men are deeply submissive to male authority figures? Oh yeah, that they are. Thank you so much for the $20. And then Lily with the $10 for the abortion fund. Can you thank Lily for the $10 for the abortion fund?
Hell no.
What about Linda with the $25? Who says, Dean, the Bible doesn't say at all that sins are the same outside of blasphemy. Love you, but respectfully, where are you getting that? Pro-choice, by the way. Oh, Linda.
Hey, W!
You said that you think all sins are the same. Why are you laughing?
No, but the Bible says
W's? Wait. Why are you laughing and claiming a W from a message from somebody that says they don't believe what you believe in? And then Linda, in response to that, thank you for the $25.
So your fans. Hey,
response,
Alexa, play Charlie Kirk. Alexa, play Charlie Kirk. Alexa, play the Charlie Kirk song, bitch.
There's a station based on Charlie Kirk on Amazon Music.
Play Charlie Kirk. We are Charlie Kirk.
He's
Alexa, play We Are Charlie Kirk.
That he'll even call like AI voices connected to an Alexa that happen to be similar to that of a human woman.
Buddy,
bitches.
Because you just proved me right. You just proved me right. Not everything is the same.
What did I prove you right about?
Alexa, play Charlie Kirk for me, please.
Playing Charlie Kirk from Amazon Music. Resuming Charlie Kirk. One shot at 12:23.
Resuming, by the way.
We Are Charlie Kirk by Spala.
Play
on Amazon
it, bitch. Damn.
Dude.
Thank you. You don't like this song, right? It triggers you?
I have to ask you to stop or I'm going to have to mute you because it's going to get me flagged on YouTube.
Read it. I know it hurts.
I unironically have to put you on mute. You know what? Go ahead and unmute. For everybody on YouTube, just know right now, he's playing the Charlie Kirk song. And you can hear it because YouTube will take me down.
You know what's kind of funny? He's like unironically doing this because he's a right winger.
Fight for the gospel. You guys don't believe in it. You guys are the true evil human beings in this fucking country. Dude, that's what I believe in.
Can you explain how we're evil?
Are you okay?
Because I said that God values everyone and everything. And you said, do you think that every sin is equally the same? And I said, yes, but it's not true.
Wait, so if you do believe that all sins are equally the same, again, why did you try to make fun of Dean when some person donated to him and disagreed with you?
Because I told Dean, I don't know if you were here. I said I'm a believer.
You celebrated when they disagreed with you.
Brother. No, I said
I just can't fathom doing that.
Brother, listen. I said I'm a believer, but I don't read the Bible. That's why I don't know if.
I mean, we obviously know that, but then where do you get your views from?
If you think
where do I get my views from my family?
If you think that your eternal salvation hinges on the Bible being true, then you should probably read the Bible.
No, Dean. He forms his views by literally things that he just hears from his family.
No.
Wow, that's a standard like I've never seen before.
I will never understand Christians that just like openly admit to not reading the Bible. Like, bro, you think that you are going to burn in hell for eternity if you don't abide by the scripture, and you're telling me you're not going to read the scripture? So
no, I think that
you're just straight up gambling your eternity. You know, like, what if what you think the Bible says is wrong because somebody lied to you like 15 years ago? Now you've been operating off of that praxis for like the entirety of your life. You die, you're in front of the gates, and God says, nope, you're going to hell because that wasn't truly what my scripture said. The only way you'd be able to know that is if you read the scripture yourself.
No, I listen, my family taught me to do the good things, and when there's two actions, you have to take the morally good one and the one that you think that God would be proud of you.
But so like all the guest is really conceding is that if he grew up in a different family structure, that he could literally hold any view. Like if you grew up in a family structure in which your parents were Nazis, you'd literally be a Nazi. Like you couldn't question that view at all. If you were born into a cult, you'd be a cultist. I mean, you already are, but like I'm just the point is clear. If you were born in a family that believes the Earth is flat, you'd believe the Earth is flat. You have no standard to actually identify whether or not something is true if you just believe it based upon whatever your family believes. Because it's just going to be based on probability of whatever your family is going to believe in. And if your family believes in some crazy ass conspiracy theory, then you would inevitably believe in that same thing because you have no method to dispute it.
I told Dean that I heard these things in church. That's why I said I'm not a believer. I'm a believer, but I'm not a Christian no more because I don't go to church.
You don't have to go to church to be Christian. That literally makes no sense.
No, but I'm not a true Christian. That's what I mean. And I want to ask Dean this question. Do you think God creates everything?
If you're not a true Christian, then you don't believe Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. Will you accept that?
No, I do accept that he's my savior, but I don't think that I follow all the things that he wants me to.
Okay, you could say that you don't follow everything, but that just means you're a sinful Christian. That means you're a bad Christian. You're still Christian, but you're a bad Christian.
I'm a bad Christian.
Yeah.
So Dean, can you agree with me that God creates everything?
Well, I'm agnostic, so no.
Why is it so hard for you guys to answer this question?
He answered the question. Literally answered the question.
No, because he wanted to debate based on what the Bible says, but someone said that it was
that's
wrong.
An internal critique of your worldview. Wow, this is just like ridiculous. The fact that I have to explain this to you is crazy.
Wait, so can you ask someone? Well, Parker, are you Christian?
No.
So can you guys answer this question? And do you guys think that God creates everything? What about the people in the chat?
We're both agnostic, so no, we don't know that God created everything.
Okay, so if you're agnostic, do you think that I'm gonna think that you have the same moral standards as me?
We'll probably have different moral standards, but they're both predicated off of our own personal values. You just decide to believe your own personal values are in accordance with whatever you perceive to be your religious view is.
You can't even assume that like all Christians have the same moral standards as one another, right? Because the statement that the scripture describes the same moral standards is different than the empirical fact that Christians have different moral standards than one another.
Yeah, but when there's something in the Bible, I don't know the exact place in the Bible.
Why are you talking about a book that you haven't
read? I can give you the exact place where it says in the Bible that God creates everything and everyone.
Okay.
You want me to? You want me to get that for you?
Just Genesis 1 and Genesis 2?
Wait, how do you know that?
Because I've read the Bible.
So truly in the Bible says that God creates everything, right? So why doesn't God create fetuses?
What? I mean, okay, so you would say that God puts the soul into their body, but inevitably speaking, the people that are created are due to the actions of human beings, because human beings have free will and they choose to be with whatever partner they have in the scenario if it's a consensual relation.
Yeah.
No, yes. I'm saying that God creates that person. Like, it adds value to it. It adds a future life, true meaning.
I'm going to try to give you the dispute once again. You affirmed that you think in the eyes of God, all sins are identical. You affirmed...
Never said that.
You reaffirmed it like 4 times. Just 1 second.
I affirmed that if in the Bible it says that, I can affirm it, but in a moral way, I do think that there's sins that are worse than others, that you cannot repent from.
Are worse than others. Okay, so here's a question: do you just think that therefore all humans are morally valuable?
I think that every human is morally valuable and has a true meaning in this world.
Okay, so do you think that it's therefore like murder to kill a morally valuable life without sufficient reason?
I think that there is a deeper meaning that God puts into those circumstances.
Is it murder?
Under the law, yes, it's murder.
No, not under the law. Given your framework of morality.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is murder.
Okay, so given your framework of morality, it's murder. Do you think that all murderers should go to jail?
I think that they should go to jail, and given like what we have in this, we have a system where if you can get parole, you can get.
Or no?
Yes, they should go to jail.
Okay.
If they're found guilty.
Okay, perfect. So you said that it's murder to kill fetus. All murder should go to jail. Human life begins at the moment of conception. That's when the fetus becomes morally valuable. So an IUD is a form of birth control, and sometimes an IUD will allow for conception to take place, and then it will prevent the implantation of the conceived zygote into the wall of the uterine lining, essentially starving it to death. Under your view, this would be murder. Okay, if a woman had an IUD, knew that it could lead to the creation of a zygote with its followed starvation and death, and yet still chose to be sexually active. So would you argue that women who have IUDs know that they could kill zygotes, choose to be sexually active, then it does kill a zygote, are culpable for murder and should go to jail?
So what are the chances of that happening, brother? If you can give me the percentage.
Well, I mean, the percentage could be 90% or 1%. It doesn't matter.
But can you give me the exact one, though, if you know about these things?
I don't know it, but it doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is because if I had a gun in my hand and I pointed it at this wall...
What are the type of... yo, Dean, listen, brother. You got this. I hope you're live one day in real life where I can actually debate you and you can be embarrassed.
So I'm trying to make a point here. Okay, well, apparently he doesn't want to hear the point. Well, the point I was going to make there is if I had a gun in my hand and I pointed it at this wall, which connects to the outside, there would probably be a very low chance that if I pulled the trigger, it would go through the wall and hit somebody on the other side, right? It could just ricochet off of the pavement. It could shoot into the air above the houses, right? Not to mention that my neighborhood isn't super densely packed, so it could just land in somebody's yard or go through their wall and get stuck in the floor, right? But still yet, if I were to take that gun and point and shoot it through that wall, knowing that it could hit somebody on the other side, regardless of what that possibility would be, and it did hit somebody on that other side, I'd still be culpable for murder. And that's why it's incorrect to argue that because the likelihood an IUD can kill a zygote is very low, therefore somebody who knows that zygote could kill an IUD, that IUD could kill a zygote is not culpable for murder. It just simply doesn't follow. Brian, you kind of sit in my queue all day. I just brought you up.
Pass for bro.
Well. Look what the cat dragged up. Soy Boy Dean and Soy Boy Parker.
Dean, he literally waits hours. He did the same thing in my stream. He waits hours just to come up on the stream to call us Soy Boys. Like, that's all he loves to do. He sits here for hours to do that.
Not only that, but I just want to say you have the worst head admin in your Discord I've ever seen, Dean. Worst head. Absolutely not. They banned me last night. They have real issues.
You're the best.
W.
Love that for Shanice.
Whoever your head admin is, they need